What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto is an alpha werewolf in Konoha Harem? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments, and also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat at his desk as 9 Jonin had gathered to await his announcement of what 3 genin they would take under their wing and train to become the future Chunin and Jonin of the Hidden Leaf. Many of the Jonin consider it a great pride to train the next generation. Sarutobi himself had both great pride and great anguish at the 3 students he had trained, to which they earned themselves so many such accolades, but 2 had fallen to vices and the last had fallen into madness. But that was neither here nor there anymore. It was time for the next group of Jonin to achieve a measure of pride and accomplishment. Gather round, it is time. The old man smiled seeing the group stop conversing and stood facing him. He glanced around the room and sighed seeing one missing. Kakashi will just have to wait for his assignment. He began naming off groups to first 6. When Team 7 was about to be announced, Kakashi finally appeared. Team 7, consisting of Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha, will be assigned to Hiryu Himura. Kakashi lowered his head slightly but said nothing. He knew this had already been set up 13 years ago and the argument against him training his sensei's son had been a very good one. He didn't know how to teach back then, and unfortunately his inability to teach was still present even after 3 tries at the academy, some being very comical attempts. When the rest of the teams had finished, Kakashi, Hiryu, and the Hokage were the only ones left in the room. Kakashi, you are not being totally left out of his training. Please understand that. You and Lord Jiraiya are the only ones that know Lord Minato's Rasengan and the fact it needs to be completed. I will ask Lord Jiraiya to train him in the Rasengan when he is ready and ask you to teach him how to complete it depending on what element Naruto has. Kakashi nods, giving a small smile. And Sasuke? If I can lift the anger and hatred in his heart, then yes, I'll send him to you for training. If not, then I will turn him over to Inoichi for evaluation, then a recommendation to have him removed from the shinobi program and have his chakra sealed, Hiryu stated firmly. That bad, huh? Sarutobi asked. His mind right now is solely devoted to avenging his clan and nothing else. What I find hard to believe is the fact that Itachi killed his mother. Or he had someone else with him that did the deed for him. He knew what it meant and somehow this other person prevented Naruto from obtaining a family, Hiryu stated. What do you mean? Kakashi asked. You know who Naruto's godmother was? Kakashi. She would have been free of her clan and had her rights as Naruto's guardian reinstated. I do not believe it was Itachi or even his accomplice if he had one to do this deed. He held up a crime scene photo of that night which showed Fugaku prone form lying across Makoto. Many would consider this photo as evidence that Fugaku died protecting his wife. If that was the case, Fugaku's body should have been the one underneath, not the other way round. If Fugaku was protecting her, he would have died first or had been injured first, and Makoto would have been the one prone over him trying to protect him. Makoto had been attacked first. Sarutobi's eyes widened looking at the photo, taking in every detail, and spotted something. The pool of blood, it's centered behind Makoto's body around her torso. Hiryu nodded, his face grim. Yes, Itachi would have wanted to end his mother's life quick, a stab to the heart or her brain. Also take in the fact that there are no footprints in the blood pool. Hiryu's eyes closed. I believe Fugaku killed his own wife in the chaos of that night, probably believing his benefactor in the coup d'etat that was coming, and would help him. Instead his son killed him, as evidenced by the stab to his heart. Sarutobi sat down, putting his hands under his chin, looking at the photo, shaking his head mournfully. Now it begs the question, who is Fugaku's benefactor? Hiryu nodded and frowned. Whoever stood to gain with the village being unstable outside the other hidden villages. My money would be on Danzo or Orochimaru, maybe both. Evidence is slim at best and I would need a lot more to go on, but with this I can make a case that Fugaku wasn't acting alone and that he murdered his wife. Sarutobi looked at the plain-looking young man. Best get going, your students are waiting. Hiryu nodded and shunshin out of the room, leaving Kakashi and Sarutobi alone. Kakashi, I'm giving you an S-rank mission with orders to have it completed before the Chunin exams. The mission? Kakashi asked. Find out who among the shinobi and civilian council were involved in the Uchiha attempted coup d'etat. If possible, I want them taken care of quietly. I'm assigning Yamato and Yugo as your squadmates for this assignment. I'm sick and tired of Danzo constantly undermining my authority, but I can't attack him directly. So take out his conspirators and destroy his subtle power base in the council." Kakashi nodded. "This isn't just because Makoto? No, this is for Naruto." Makoto was simply the final straw. The massacre was a necessary evil to preserve village stability. But Makoto was never involved, and I've always found it strange Itachi killed her. The old man held up the photo, eyes flashing in anger. "But this proves one thing. Naruto's life is being made more difficult than I first thought, and it is going to end now." The old man slammed his fist onto his desk, shattering it into a million pieces. Kakashi's eyes grew wide, seeing the unexpected power the old man before him just displayed and how cold he sounded. The once dwindling fire in the old Hokage had been reignited and was fixed to burn anything and everything in its path. "You have your assignment, Kakashi, get to it." Kakashi bowed and shunshin from the room as Sarutobi walked to the office door. "I need a new desk, something a bit sturdier. Oh, and make sure it has a nice dark finish to it." His secretary nodded dumbly. Naruto paced impatiently while every now and then glancing at the door, contemplating setting up a prank on their sensei for being late, when the door opened. In walked one of the most unassuming people the whisker-marked blonde had ever seen before in his life. Short, smooth brown hair, blue eyes, wearing the standard Jonin outfit, and strapped to his back was a sword. He wore his shinobi headband around his neck like a collar. "I'm sorry for being late, was in a meeting with the Hokage," the man stated with a friendly smile. "It's okay, sensei," Sakura stated cheerfully. "Excellent, now let's go to the roof and proceed with a little chit-chat. Like to get know my team," the unassuming Jonin stated. A few minutes later, the foursome were gathered around a set of small benches sitting facing one another. "This will be simple. I will tell you a bit about myself and you will do the same. Maybe find out about your teammates a little more. First, before introductions are made, I like to point out something. I do not tolerate fangirlism, acts of betrayal, or avengers, among other things." He glanced mainly at Sakura and Sasuke. One looked a bit down, the other looked absolutely livid. "Aside from that, I hope we can be a good team together. Now I'll introduce myself. My name is Hiryu Himura, Elite Jonin S ranked. My former team was Hana Inuzuka and Itachi Uchiha." He watched Sasuke's eyes flash in shock. Hiryu smirked slightly to himself before revealing something equally juicy. "My Jonin captain was Kushina Uzumaki." "You Uzumaki?" Naruto's voice squeaked. "Yes, Naruto, I was trained by your mother," Hiryu stated, watching the myriad of emotions run along his face. "She died the night of Kyuubi attack alongside your father. I'm afraid I can't give more about him, mainly because of the amount of enemies he had and your current skills." Naruto nodded, tears at the corner of his eyes. Did they? Sakura simply looked confused. She hadn't seen Naruto act like this the entire time at the academy. He was usually so loud and annoying. A part of her suddenly felt badly about how she often thought of him and treated him. "Yes, Naruto, I know for a fact that they loved you very much," Hiryu chuckled slightly. "Sensei oftentimes wouldn't shut up about parading you around the village in your stroller, bragging about how cute you were going to be and how many girlfriends you were going to have when you got older. To quote the Nara, it was really troublesome." Naruto chuckled sadly, lowering his head to hide the new tears forming. Hiryu sighed, reaching up and gently rubbing the boy's head. "Take your time, Naruto. Now onto my likes. I love my fiancé, barbecue chicken, and anything to do with history. My fiancé constantly tells I'm a history otaku. My dislikes are traitors, those that cannot tell the difference between a kunai and the storage scroll to which it is sealed in," he stated, looking at Naruto's bowed head pointedly, who seemed to tense a second before relaxing even more. "I also hate written tests as they suck and make my head hurt." He chuckled, seeing Sasuke smirk and Sakura frown. He saw Naruto clutching his sides. Suddenly all sense of melancholy had flown out the window, laughing his head off. Once Naruto had calmed down, he continued. "Dreams for the future, I have already achieved one. I'm engaged to the woman I love. As for my second dream, it is to train a future Hokage." "Sensei, why do you have two dreams?" Sakura asked. "Simple, dreams are the ultimate goal in one's life. Once you've achieved that dream, there would be nothing left for you to do afterward. So you set another dream and proceed from there. Goals are smaller dreams that can be easy or hard to achieve, depending. My first dream was to win the heart of the girl that I fell in love with." He saw Sakura's eyes seem to dart towards Sasuke. "She wasn't my school crush either. I found my school crush to be shallow and very one-dimensional as well as one-sided. She wanted nothing to do with me. I gradually came to accept that, and before she left with her sensei we became great friends. I wish her all the luck in the world." Sakura looked a bit deflated but nodded. "Why don't you introduce yourself?" "My name is Sakura Haruno. I like my mom, reading, and learning new things," Sakura stated, restraining her rampant fangirlism, focusing on only things she knew of without resorting to her schoolgirl crush. "The things that I hate." She frowned a moment. At first she wanted to scream Naruto's name, but that wasn't true. She just found him annoying, and deep down she found his attention was flattering. But she had deeper dislikes that had been there since she was 4. "I hate people making fun of my hair or my forehead." Hirayu's eyes widened, thinking back to when Kushina introduced herself to his team. By Kami, that almost sounded like Kushina-sensei for a moment. "But Sakura-chan, I like your forehead and your hair. I think it's really cool," Naruto stated. Sakura blushed slightly, not expecting that. "My dreams for the future." She thought about it long and hard. "I don't know," she said sadly. She felt Hirayu's hand on her shoulder. She looked up and saw a small smile. "It will come to you given enough time." Sakura smiled and nodded before subtly glancing at Naruto, finding his comments had left her heart beating a bit faster and wondered why. Now on to the last member. Sasuke Uchiha. "I don't like a lot of things, hate a lot of things, and I have a goal that I will make a reality," the Uchiha stated, keeping it vague and keeping his thoughts of revenge to himself. "I see," Hiryu frowned when the boy didn't clarify more. "At any rate, tomorrow will be the final Genin exam," he chuckled at their expressions. "Did you seriously believe that 3 basic jutsu, a written test, and a taijutsu spar would grant you passage into the shinobi world?" He watched each of them look uncertain. "You truly have a lot to learn. Meet me at training ground 7 at 9 in the morning, eat hearty." He looks at Sakura. "No dieting. Shinobi need all the complex carbohydrates they can get to maintain the energy they need to perform jutsu. It was tolerated in the academy as you were not facing life or death situations. From this moment on I expect you to eat like every meal is your last." To quote Kushina-sensei, "Every paycheck is a fortune, every meal a banquet, and everywhere you sleep is a 5-star resort, ura." Wow, mom was badass, believe it. Naruto chirped happily. Sasuke raised an eyebrow while Sakura looked sick, mostly at the pictures. Yes, she was, the second strongest shinobi in the Hidden Leaf at the time, with the 4th topping her slightly, Hiryu explained, then handed Naruto something. "Here Naruto, this is a team picture I have taken just after we were assigned to her." The 3 young teens looked at the picture. The thing they noticed was how beautiful Kushina Uzumaki was. "Wow Naruto, that's your mom," Sakura stated in awe, not entirely sure what she was expecting. The image she painted after hearing Hiryu's quote didn't seem to match what she saw in the photo. Then again, Naruto has always been unpredictable. Guess I know where he got it from now. She and the rest of Team 7 took in the rest of the photo. Hiryu was on Kushina's right in the photo, holding up a peace sign while trying to smile, which was apparently being made difficult by 2 things: a puppy on his head and the wild-looking girl who had thrown her arm around his neck. The wild-looking girl had her hair pulled back in a tight ponytail, dressed in a yellow tank top, camouflage pants. She also had a puppy on her head with her free hand. She was making her own peace sign. She had a huge smile on her face. The last figure was easily recognizable by Sasuke, who tried to maintain an impassive frown only to come off looking confused. In this photo his brother was actually smiling, though his looked a bit strained, holding up his rather stoic peace sign with a puppy on his head as well. Kushina wore a beige battle dress similar to Kurenai with a few minor differences. She also held up a peace sign and her smile was just as big as Hana's. Sensei, what kind of unit was yours?" "Op picked up on that already. As you may have guessed, with teams 8 and 10 they have specific unit tactic. Team 8 will be a primary hunting and tracking team, Team 10 is a capture and resonance team. Ours is infiltration and elimination," Hiryu stated, noting Sakura's face get pale. "You have nothing to worry about in terms of actual elimination until you're older. However, infiltration is about one thing, and that is stealth. My old team was primarily a tracking and elimination team. Hana-chan would track our targets, then Itachi and I did the elimination. She was also our backup and medic Nin. If things got too tough for us, Kushina-sensei would step in and take care of it." "How many times did she have to step in?" Sasuke asked. "Early on when we were starting out, I'd say once every other mission. Usually when it involved a missing nin of an A rank or higher, Hiryu explained. Your brother did not become the person he is now overnight, Sasuke. His strength happened gradually. Hiryu rubbed his chin, thinking about something for a few minutes and sighed. I can't do it. Sensei would come out of her grave to get me if I did. The plain-looking man groaned. The Hokage is going to chew me out a bit for this, but screw it. We will not conduct the final genin test tomorrow. So you all are officially genin as of right now. Are really, Sensei? Naruto asked. But tomorrow I will test each of individually. I want to see your strengths and weaknesses, so we can strengthen your weaknesses and refine your strengths. You all can go. Hiryu watched the three leave and looked at the photo, a sad smile on his face. A second later, however, a shadow appeared. Looking up, he saw Naruto holding his right arm nervously. Holding up the photo, Naruto took it gently. Thank you, Sensei. I never did get your introduction, Naruto, the plain-faced man stated. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, son of Kushina Uzumaki. My likes are ramen, training, Tuchi Ichiraku and his daughter Ayame, Iruka-sensei, Hiryu-sensei, and the old man Hokage. My dislikes are traitors and hypocrites. My dreams for the future are to marry Sakura-chan and become Hokage to make my mom proud of me, believe it. Hiryu smiled as Naruto left. I know she is already very proud of you, Naruto, he whispered and felt two very warm arms wrap around his neck. How's my alpha male doing? Hana whispered. Feeling a bit nostalgic, Hiryu smirked, turning his head and kissing the Inuzuka woman. How's Kiba? That brat has not shut up about being teamed up with Hinata. I just know he's going to drive me crazy with it all day. Hana groaned, sliding into her fiancé's lap. Can I stay with Anko tonight? Hiryu chuckled. I seem to recall you doing the same thing when you got assigned to Kushina-sensei's team. Hana pouted and blushed. Oh yeah. I still can't believe you had that crush on Shizune. I was practically throwing myself at your feet like I was in heat and you'd ignore me. Yes, but I came around eventually, Hiryu stated, softly nuzzling the wild-looking young woman's nose. And you spent nearly a year and a half playing hard to get, just to make sure I wasn't faking it. Hana's face turned solemn. I didn't want my heart broken if turned out to be some ruse to get Shizune jealous. Hiryu nodded, holding the woman close. I know, and I'm sorry for being such a stubborn male. Can you forgive me? Hana tapped her chin, thinking. If you take me and make me scream your name at least twice, I think I can forgive you. You're an insatiable bitch, you know that? Hiryu snickered. Hana smirked darkly. Yes, but I'm your insatiable bitch, and don't you forget it. I've claimed you and no other female can have you. Hiryu kissed her long and hard. I like the sound of that. Naruto was the first to appear at the designated training area, followed closely by Sasuke, then Sakura. Hiryu appeared only 15 minutes later with a smile as the two waved to him while the third just turned to acknowledge him. Good morning, Sensei, was Sakura's pleasant reply. Morning, Sakura, did you all eat hearty? Hiryu asked, to which all three genin nodded. Good, because in replacement for allowing you to forego the regular final assessment most genin go through and the old man ripping me a new one, Naruto laughed. As I said yesterday, will be testing your strengths and weaknesses to help decide how you will be trained. Sasuke stepped forward. You will be first. The Uchiha smirked slightly before stepping forward. We will conduct a spar for however long you last. Display all your known jutsu and fighting prowess. As soon as he finished speaking, he launched at Sasuke. Both fought and the Uchiha brought out every jutsu he knew before his sensei knocked him to the ground. Sasuke looked up from his spot on the ground, breathing heavily. Hiryu frowned slightly. What? The Uchiha asked. I must admit your speed is impressive and you grasp your family's taijutsu very well, but it was your great fireball jutsu that seemed off to me. Tell me, have you always had trouble with it? Hiryu asked. Yes, father constantly stated his disappointment at it, Sasuke grudgingly admitted. Hiryu nodded, and this time he smiled. I see, and I may know the reason for it. Your elemental affinity is not that of fire. Your brother and your father were both aligned closely with fire. You, however, I believe may have inherited your mother's affinity. Sasuke sat up, looking a bit confused. Affinity? I'll explain after the other spars. Please sit down, Sasuke, and relax. Hiryu turned to his other two squad members. Sakura, your turn. Again, everything that you know, he stated, and watched her charge at him, causing him to smile just a bit. After a few minutes she, like Sasuke, had been knocked to the ground, breathing heavily in exhaustion and some minor pain. She looked up waiting for her assessment. What she saw wasn't very encouraging. Sakura, you're from a civilian clan, correct? Why yes sensei, my father was a merchant and my mother is currently serving on the civilian council, Sakura stated softly. Hiryu smacked his forehead before chuckling, of course you're Mabuki's daughter. I guess this explains the academy only jutsu and taijutsu. You have such remarkable control over your chakra, I could feel it in every punch and kick you made. He gently helped the girl up before crossing his arms, tapping his chin in thought. I wonder if you would be good as a medic nin. Medic nin? Sakura asked, looking just as confused as Sasuke had been before she walked over to join her teammates. Again, I will explain all my external musings in a bit. I kind of like voicing my general thoughts, makes me sound smarter. Now Naruto, it's your turn. Hiryu smiled, watching as the blonde practically bounced over to stand before him, getting into a very strange stance. Hiryu struggled to keep the frown at his face looking at it. If anything, he thought that Naruto would have been taught the same basics as Sakura. What he saw didn't match. In an unseen signal, Naruto launched at him. During the course of the spar, which lasted just slightly longer than Sasuke's, mainly because of Naruto's insane stamina, Hiryu's face lost its neutral setting as a frown rapidly replaced it and only grew deeper as the spar went on. Just after the blonde Jinchuriki dropped to the ground for the final time, Kushina-sensei would be rolling in her grave right now, he stated sadly. Noting Naruto's face became downcast at this comment. Not at you, Naruto. The boy looked at him in confusion for a moment. How much did your instructor teach you in taijutsu? Not much, sensei, Sasuke stated, causing both his teammates to look at him. Any particular reason they give? Hiryu asked, eyes becoming lidded a bit knowing the real answer, when Sasuke confirmed it with a shake of his head. I see, the plain-looking Jonin helped Naruto to his feet. My assessment of each of you is this. Sasuke, while your other skills are impressive, your elemental ninjutsu needs to be tested to see which affinity you have, though I suspect you have lightning and not fire. Sasuke nodded, still confused about the talk of affinities and the fact that he should be doing lightning ninjutsu instead of fire. Sakura, for someone from a civilian family, your ability to grasp academy basics is very promising and your chakra control is something that Lady Tsunade of the Sannin and Kushina-sensei would have been very proud to have. Hiryu smiled at the fact the girl was practically beaming at his praise. As such, I believe you would do great as a medic nin. Sakura looked confused at what a medic nin was at first before she searched through her memory on her classes and remembered what it meant. You mean I could become a doctor like Princess Tsunade? The rosette-haired girl asked, her face very plausible. Now, Hiryu turned to Naruto, who looked extremely depressed. Cheer up, Naruto, remember this was to assess what needs to be worked on to make you stronger. Just so happens I need to fix the sabotage done by the majority of your teachers, and I hope Kushina-sensei beats the unholy shit out them when they finally meet her in the afterlife. Thankfully you have a single jutsu that will allow you to progress at a more rapid pace, so you will not be left behind, and I'll explain in a few what that means. Naruto nods, his face looking slightly more cheerful. The plain-looking Jonin pulled out 3 pieces of plain white paper. This is chakra paper. The 3 genin looked at the paper. I don't know how much is taught in the terms of affinities since I was at the academy, but to clarify, each of us have an aligned affinity: earth, water, wind, lightning, or fire. Most Kekkei Genkai can mix and match these to create offshoots, like wood, ice, lava, etc. You mean like the first Hokage? Sakura stated, remembering her history lesson. Yes, he used his affinity for earth and water to create wood. I heard there were 2 clans in the Hidden Mist village that had the ability to create ice using water and wind, and another clan who could use earth and fire to create lava. But I'm getting off track. Each of us have an aligned affinity, but that doesn't mean we can't use others, it is just more difficult to accomplish. Hiryu turned to Sasuke. That is why I believe you have your mother's affinity for lightning, Sasuke, as you have said earlier of your difficulty using your fire jutsu. He pulled out another piece of chakra paper. Now to use this to test your affinity, you simply channeled chakra into the paper like you would before throwing a kunai or shuriken. The paper will give off 5 reactions. Fire burns the paper. Water will get the paper soggy, earth will turn the paper to dust, lightning will crumple the paper up, and wind will cut the paper in half. Watch, with Hiryu channeled chakra into the paper and it promptly got soaked. As you see, my main affinity is water, as my family migrated here after the last war from a village near the Hidden Mist. I was very lucky to get Kushina-sensei as my Jonin captain, as she was from the hidden whirlpool village and as such she knew lots of water jutsu. Naruto went first, his paper sliced in half. I'm wind? Interesting, seems you have inherited your father's affinity. Naruto, extremely rare here in the hidden leaf. But I know someone who can help you with any wind-based jutsu, so no worries. Hiryu patted the blonde on the shoulder, turning to Sakura looked downright confused. The paper was split and it was soaked, causing the Jonin to raise his eyebrow with genuine interest. Water and wind, our little Sakura is indeed full of surprises it seems. I will need to talk to your mother. It is very rare to have two affinities without having a Kekkei Genkai attached to it. Outside of that, looks like you and Naruto will be having joint training in Windjutsu. Sakura nodded while Naruto was practically trying to keep his face from splitting at the amount of joy he was feeling being able to learn Windjutsu alongside her. Sasuke had done the same and confirmed Hiryu's suspicions as the paper was crumpled in the Uchiha's outstretched palm. You were right, sensei, lightning. Hiryu nods and smirks. Best suggestion I can give is look into your mother's journals. She always wrote down her jutsu, the hand signs, whether she had copied them or made up her own. Sasuke nodded, mentally cursing himself at the realization that this entire time he had been training in the wrong affinity. Hiryu pulled out a scroll and wrote down something on it before rolling it back up, tucking it into one of his flak jacket pockets. Now for Naruto, your taijutsu is horrific at best, criminal at worst. I'm going to inform the Hokage and let me into your parents' personal vault and pull out some of their taijutsu scrolls for you to study. I have a vault? Naruto asked. Yes, though most have been held in trust till you reach your 18th birthday, which has been supplemented with money from your godfather from sales of his books and a special trust from godmother after she was killed 6 years ago, Hiryu stated. Wait, I have godparents? Naruto looked hurt. Hiryu nodded, wincing slightly at the boy's expression, dropping to one knee. Listen, when the time comes you can beat your godfather to the ground for neglecting his duty, which he certainly deserves. His excuse, while a good one, still doesn't give him the right to not see you on occasion. Your godmother, on the other hand, had been denied her guardian rights by the majority of the civilian council, the plain-looking Jonin explained. If they allowed it, though, things might have been easier, but I would have worried about it more on the night of the Uchiha massacre. Why would Naruto care about what happened to my clan? Sasuke asked heatedly. Aside from being an upstanding human being to care about when a potential friend loses his family, Hiryu stated, which caused the Uchiha to lose the fire in his eyes a bit. He lost his godmother that night. Sasuke, your mother. My mother was his godmother? Sasuke looked stunned. Just as his mother was yours, Hiryu stated, making the Uchiha slump to the ground, his mind blown at the implications. A few seconds later Naruto joined him, but were looking at their hands like they never seen them before. This will be the end of the lecture time today. You and Naruto need to let this sink in, and I have an errand for Sakura to run. What do you need, sensei? Sakura was just as stunned by these revelations as Hiryu handed her the rolled-up scroll he written on earlier. Give this to Hana Inuzuka. Stay until she gives you a reply. She'll be at her clan's compound, no doubt running the veterinary clinic. Hiryu instructed, seeing the girl nod before she ran off. The plain-looking Jonin turned to look at his students, shaking his head. Sakura Haruno looked down at the scroll she was given as she walked toward the Inuzuka clan compound. She had walked by the huge compound several times with her mother, always hearing the nindogs barking periodically, or heard the matriarch of the clan barking out orders to her clanmates, Kiba, or the nindogs. Sometimes the smell near the kennels got bad, but otherwise the place had that pseudo-peaceful yet wild vibe to it. The Inuzuka compound was also home to the Leaf Village Veterinarian Clinic, where people brought their pets for checkups, healing for diseases, and other things of that nature. It was also rumored that during these checkups that a little cat demon, Tora as it was called, broke free and ran for the hills. The rosette-haired girl often asked what this cat really was and got vague descriptions aside from the fact that it was the bane of the Genin's existence. Coming to the main house of the compound, she politely knocked. A few minutes later her classmate opened it. Sakura, what are you doing here? Kiba asked, looking genuinely confused. He currently wasn't wearing his fur-lined coat or his headband. I'm on an errand for my sensei. He told me to give your sister a scroll, the rosette-haired girl responded. Really? Well, come in, I'll go get her. Kiba yawned a bit, scratching his head, which Akamaru had to dodge as he disappeared into the back of the house. Sakura took off her sandals and put on the house shoes provided for guests waiting for Kiba's sister to appear taking in the front room. It was simple with a few family photos and a framed picture of Sume with her former team, which ironically looked much like the current Team 8, Hiyashi Hyuga, Sume Inuzuka, and Shibi Aburame as young teens and a nondescript Jonin with red eyes. Might be a relative of that woman that picked up Kiba, Hinata, and Shino. Next to that photo was the one Hiryu had shown his team. Sakura became enthralled by this photo again. She was just floored at how beautiful Naruto's mother had been. The more she looked at the photo, though, she could see some of the facial features that Naruto had inherited from his mother, like his chin and nose. But it begs to question who was Naruto's father. The fact Naruto didn't have red hair or green eyes meant he inherited his father's blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm reading too deeply into this, but Hiryu-sensei did state that Naruto's father had lots of enemies. Which means Naruto's father was really strong, and was able to grab the attention of the strongest kunoichi of the Hidden Leaf. The only one stronger than her at the time was the fourth Hokage. Sakura's eyes widened when she mentally overlaid Naruto's face with the fourth Hokage's face. She then ran to nearest window to look out and look at the Hokage monument. What she saw only confirmed her hypothesis. Naruto's father was the fourth Hokage. Hana Inuzuka was having a normal workday, meaning she spent the morning checking on her clan's dogs. Some of the females were with pups. Others were down with various illnesses. Priority dictated she check the ones with serious illnesses first and decide whether or not they could be saved with a vaccine or having the rather unfortunate duty of euthanizing them. Needless to say, she was overall happy that only one had a serious illness and it was treatable. The females with pups she checked and rechecked to make sure they were doing well. It was always a joy to see new pups enter the pack. New pups meant a new member of the clan would be born somewhere within the next 9 months. She had just finished the last checkup when Kiba appeared. "Sis, Sakura is waiting for you. Apparently my future brother-in-law has something for you." Hana rolled her eyes before turning to her baby brother. There were many things she found in her brother that was annoying. Mostly it was that his personality matched their father. She sighed watching as he walked away, Akamaru perched on his head. One of the things that seemed to perturb her brother was the fact that she chose Hiryu as her mate. He simply can't understand that Hiryu is alpha material, can't understand that my Hiryu-kun has the 3 things that make him an alpha male. He'll know what it means eventually. Mother stated father took a while before he came to the realization and then abuse it, baka father. Hana entered the house still wearing her lab coat, mostly because Hiryu often stated she looked why wearing it. One of the few role-playing things they did after they became engaged was her wearing lab coat and a pair of wire-framed glasses with no lenses and nothing else. He has such an imagination, and he has never once touched those porn books Kakashi-senpai always reads. Hana giggled to herself as she walked into the foyer and noticed Hiryu's student was missing. Looking around, she spotted the pink-haired kunoichi looking out the window at the Hokage monument. Hana winced slightly at the quotations in her mind when referring to both Ino and Sakura as kunoichi. She hoped Hiryu and Asuma can break the 2 girls of the fangirlism before it caused them harm. The closer the Inuzuka girl got to the window, she noticed the rosette-haired girl was staring at but not really looking at the monument. Instead, the girl looked like she was trying hard to catch her breath. "Sakura?" Sakura jumped, turning to the older girl. "Oh sorry, sensei wanted me to give this to you." The girl pulled out a scroll and handed it to the older girl. "He also said I needed to stay here until you've read it and ask you what you thought." Hana shrugged and opened the scroll. Reading the contents, she struggled to keep a look of surprise off her face or to look up at the frail-looking girl. When she finished, she rolled the scroll back up and tapped her chin, looking at the rosette-haired girl with a long-nailed index finger, and thought, "If you weren't a shinobi and still a civilian, would you like the idea of being a doctor?" Sakura's eyes widened for a moment before she thought about it. The rosette always liked the idea of helping people. Granted, she was annoyed at Naruto most of the time, but when she saw him struggle in some of the simpler assignments in school, a part of her wanted to help him. This was made worse by the fact that almost all the teachers, except Iruka, treated Naruto like he was either not there or like he was nothing to be bothered with. It wasn't until the last 2 years that he appeared to simply give up and start pulling more pranks. Also, he seemed to go out of his way to ask her out every other day, which annoyed her and flattered her at the same time. Still, the idea of helping someone in need always appealed to her, even if that person drove her crazy. If I could help anyone, then yes, I would love to be doctor if I couldn't be a shinobi. Hana smiled. Good answer. Now let's test something else out before I send you back to Hiryu-kun with my recommendation. What do you think is the ideal alpha male? Sakura blinked, caught off guard by the question. What do you mean? With a sigh, Hana gestured to the rosette-haired girl to look out the window at the monument again. It's how we in the Inuzuka clan are. We think much like our nin dogs, from the way we act to how we perceive other people. Take the Hokages for a prime example of being what we Inuzuka females like to call the alpha male. They followed the three main credence of what alpha males truly are. 1. They are strong both in protecting their pack but also providing for said pack. Number 2. They hold unconditional love for their pack, their mates and their pups. Finally, the alpha male is willing to sacrifice for their pack, by sacrificing themselves if need be from threats that would destroy the pack. The 4 Hokages are, as I said, prime examples. They have done all these on every occasion possible. This is why the Inuzuka have always loved being part of the Hidden Leaf. So many good alpha males here. Sakura pursed her lips. Okay, so are you saying that Sasuke-kun isn't an alpha male? Hana scoffed, crossing her arms. Hardly, and for you and the Yamanaka to present yourselves to the Uchiha likes bitches in heat is disgraceful. No bitch should ever present themselves to an unworthy male in the way you have. Sakura's eyes flashed. Sasuke is strong. How can you say he's not alpha male material? Please, he isn't alpha, he's a lone wolf. He cares for nothing but his single-minded goal. He shows no willingness to protect anything save himself, and he would sooner run from a fight than sacrifice himself for anyone. Itachi is an alpha male, Hiryu-kun is very alpha male, Kiba, if he ever gets his head out of his ass, has great potential to be an alpha male. Shino is an alpha male. Shikamaru and his father, regardless of how lazy they are alpha males. Choji, no matter how much he eats, is an alpha male. Your teammate Naruto is by far the personification of what it means to be an alpha male, Hana states, shaking her head. You totally missed it because you're sniffing around someone who doesn't deserve you. Sakura frowned, mostly because the older girl was disturbingly making sense. The more she thought about it, the more her heart sunk. While she was slightly mortified at the blunt manner of speech, Hana did point out things that the rosette-haired girl overlooked. Naruto had gone out of his way during the academy days to make her feel special by asking her out repeatedly. At first she found it flattering, but the more she got into her rivalry with Ino, the more she found Naruto's advances to be annoying and unwanted. But she wasn't ready to give in to the fact just yet. She latched on to the last bit of rationalization she had. Sasuke is Rookie of the Year and Naruto is dead last. Hana started cackling at this. Hiryu-kun was a dead last and Itachi had been Rookie of the Year in our year, but when they fought, 9 times out of 10 Hiryu-kun beat Itachi's ass. Academy ranks are so much bullshit it's not even funny. None of the Rookies of the Year from the Academy have ever lived up to the hype. Danzo Shimura was Rookie of the Year after the Academy was founded. Now he's a crazed warhawk who would gladly put himself before the village. Orochimaru was Rookie of the Year. He's become one of our greatest criminal. Itachi is a murderer of his clan and a missing nin. The other Rookies of the Year haven't done anything like Kakashi Hatake and Neji Hyuga. One is trapped in his past and the other handicaps himself by believing everything revolves around fate. Minato Namikaze is probably the only Rookie of the Year who actually deserves that title, and that's only because he had someone to fight for. Rookie of the Year is bullshit, so unless you have something else. Sakura slumped her shoulders, shaking her head as things seemed to crash around her, revealing how badly she messed up. She then felt Hana gently pat her shoulder. Looking up, she saw the older girl smile sadly. I wanted to fit in. Everyone liked Sasuke, they thought he was cool, handsome, and mysterious. Hana nodded. Go for the bad boy and ignore all the other guys thinking you could save him or change him. The rosette nodded and the wild-looking young girl sighed heavily. That path only leads to pain and misery. I should know, that's how my mother was when she fell for my father, thinking he was an alpha male. Granted, he became one later, but he abused it. It ended badly. He became an A-ranked missing nin. Mother and Hiyashi Hyuga hunted him down. She was forced to land the killing blow. She's never been the same since. She hides it well, but every time she looks at Kiba I know she sees my dad. Sakura looked down a few moments, taking a deep breath. So what happens now? Well, during the weekends you'll come here and I'll be training you the basics in medical ninjutsu. I'm a veterinarian, not a doctor. But all medic nins get the same basics. Hana smirked, seeing the girl's eyes light up. You mean I'm going to be training in medicine? Sakura asked. Hana nodded. Yep, blame your sensei, the handsome devil that he is. He wanted me to evaluate you, so I did. While you're a bit on the fangirly side, I see you can throw that out the window if you give yourself enough time and really train. Here's a bit of advice. Drop the lone wolf go for the alpha male in your squad, guarantee you'll be happy. That's what true alpha males do, their bitches. Sakura looked down, feeling uneasy, and frowned slightly at being called a bitch again. How'd I even begin? That's easy. Apologize, Hana replied. If he's like any true alpha male, Naruto will gladly forgive you and you'll be back to square one. But if he's anything like Sensei was, he'll probably wonder why you're apologizing. Before saying her goodbyes and promising to be at the veterinarian clinic Friday morning at the earliest. Why do you constantly call me a bitch? She asked, tick mark appearing. I call any female a bitch. Remember, we Inuzuka have a dog-style mentality and female dogs are called bitches. Hana explains with a shrug, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. I didn't mean to offend you, but that's how I am. Sorry, Hana-sensei. Sakura bowed slightly as Hana pulled out a scroll and wrote down something. Midway through, the woman gave a vicious grin. Here, give this back to my hunky fiancé. Hana handed the Rosette the scroll before shooing the girl out. Friday morning before the clinic opens, get some scrubs. The wild-looking called out at the departing girl. Be sniffing around Naruto before the end of the month, all according to plan, the Inuzuka smirked. Naruto had been dumbfounded at finding out who his godmother had been and then traveled back to his memories. He vaguely remembered a woman with black hair and eyes often stopping by during his time with the Hokage. He remembered many times being left alone with the woman who seemed to suddenly dote on him, often asking him how he was doing after the old man left, always with a sad smile on her face. After a year of this, he got used to it and began opening up to her more and more as time went by. He never knew who she was, only that she often told him to call her auntie, although at the time he never understood why. Granted, Naruto was dense, but he wasn't stupid. He could tell something was up with those get-togethers. The old man made up those meetings, didn't he? Hiryu frowned. What meetings? Naruto then went on to explain what he meant. When he finished, the plain-looking Jonin looked surprised at first before thinking about it. Seems the old man found a way around the council's decree. I figure it was the only time the two of you had a chance to bond on some level, but it must have been bittersweet. Makoto would always leave at the end of the day without you and you went back to your apartment. Mother was weak, Sasuke stated coldly. I remember those times now. She always came home and went to her room crying for hours. Naruto scowled. Who said she was weak? My father. Sasuke frowned a bit. I never understood the reason before why he called her that. Now I do. She wanted play surrogate mother to a loser like you. He was right, she was weak. Before Sasuke could react, Naruto seemed to teleport from the spot where he was standing and appeared right in front of him, the blonde slamming his fist into the Uchiha's face. How can you say that? Naruto growled. Sasuke holding his cheek, looking surprised at getting taken off guard. Looking up, he glared at the whisker-marked blonde. It's the truth. She should have stayed at home and been a wife dutiful to father like she was supposed to, rather than go pining after her best friend's son. She would have survived being killed. Enough, you can go, Sasuke, Hiryu said firmly. Both boys backed down as they watched him turn his head. Both followed, spotting Sakura standing there looking absolutely shocked. Sasuke snorted, walking away. Oh, and Sasuke, tomorrow 9 o'clock training begins in earnest. The Uchiha stopped for a second, nodding in acknowledgement before leaving. Welcome back, Sakura. I'm sorry you had to see your teammates fight like that. Sakura walked over, handing him the scroll Hana had given her, looking even more distraught as she saw the idealism behind her feelings for Sasuke get blasted into a million pieces with such a cruel phrase, along with Hana's strange logic about the male half of humanity. Does he really think that about women? His father instilled a lot of the Uchiha's cruel ideals upon him. He is truly his father's son, Hiryu stated distastefully, reading the scroll, blushing slightly at one point at something his fiancé wrote down. Damn, she's horny again. Never met a woman so damned insatiable, but considering who her mother is and who her friends are, I'm lucky she hasn't strapped me down yet. I take it you know then about Naruto's father? Naruto's eyes perked up at that, turning to Sakura expectantly. Sakura nodded. I see. Well then, I will ask you to keep it a secret for a while. He paused, seeing Naruto about to protest. Easy, I have some things in motion. If they pan out I'll tell you who your dad is. I'm not the old man, I know you can handle it, just got to promise me both you won't spread it around. The Jonin looked pointedly at them and they both nod. Now I can't reveal training until tomorrow. However, both of you will need more than academy basic taijutsu. He growled slightly, or the bastardized version Naruto was trained in. As such, I will give Naruto his mother and father's taijutsu scrolls for him to read and learn from to find his own style. Sakura, I believe Tsunade's taijutsu style will serve you well. Thankfully her apprentice left me a copy for safekeeping. Sensei. Why would Princess Tsunade's apprentice leave you with a taijutsu scroll? Sakura asked. Parting gift, Hiryu smiled sadly. Something to remember my first crush by, however I feel I've held onto it long enough. By giving it away to someone who can use it to its fullest potential, I know it will be in good hands. Also, I'm ready to let go. Hana-chan is my one, I don't need to fawn over the past anymore. What about Sasuke Teme and what he said? Naruto asked, his voice coming out almost in a snarl. Nothing you can do to change him, Naruto, he is set on his path, Hiryu sighed sadly. He is simply too much like his father. Naruto dropped to the ground sighing heavily. Sakura looked down, hearing those spitefully words made her think back to her conversation with Hana. Hana was right. Sasuke is so cold he wouldn't protect anything except himself. Sakura sat down across from Naruto looking depressed. Sakura-chan, I'm sorry, I know I hit the jerk, the whisker-marked blonde thought for a moment before he smiled. So if you want to make you feel better you can clock me. He then proceeded to present his chin for an uppercut. Hiryu watched what transpired, feeling a bit nostalgic at the scene, reminding him of his final action that won him Hana's heart after spending so many months denying he cared about her at all. Hana did deck him though, after that she kissed him. Sakura looked up, seeing him sitting there, no fear in the fact he basically gave her the okay to smash his teeth in for some imagined slight. She thought about Hana's third rule of being an alpha male, sacrifice. Hana was right again. Kami, what have I done? Sakura slowly stood looking at Naruto, practically leaning forward to get an unobstructed shot at his chin. It would be considered funny if she didn't feel so ashamed of herself. She lunged at Naruto, but instead of throwing a punch, she threw her arms around his waist, burying her face into his shoulder, and cried. Naruto opened his eyes, looking a bit confused at first. He expected the impact to hurt more. After all, he felt more than his fair share of punches from the pink-haired girl in the past to know what she was capable when angry. He looked to his left and saw a long waterfall of pink. He fought a blush when he felt her shoulder shaking against him and something warm and wet on his shoulder. Sakura-chan? I'm sorry for everything I ever did to you. Sakura cried into his shoulder, which only Naruto's keen hearing could hear. The whisker-marked blonde pinched himself, wincing at the pain, and realized this wasn't a dream. His Sakura-chan apologized for what? He had no earthly idea. But seeing her cry made his heart ache. An angry Sakura he could deal with. He simply let her vent. When he saw a happy Sakura for the rest of his day, he felt that he could do no wrong. But a sad or scared Sakura he felt powerless against, and he would move mountains, pull 1,000 pranks, or beat up 100 bullies to see her smile again. He looked over at his sensei, who simply smiled. After few heartbeats, Naruto put his arms around her on instinct and pulled her closer. You got nothing to be sorry for, Sakura-chan, he whispered, and felt her grab him tighter. Baka, was her soft reply, causing him to chuckle. She looked up, and what he saw was probably the most breathtaking thing he ever seen in his life. He instinctively leaned forward and kissed her forehead. She looked at him in confusion, and her face was deep red. I always wanted to do that. Naruto chuckled, feeling if he was going to get clobbered in a few seconds, knowing that was the most likely reaction, he might as well get one of his dreams accomplished. Sakura's eyes widened as something in her mind clicked to yesterday and her meeting with Sasuke, how his words mirrored her thoughts and how out of place they sounded. The only time Sasuke ever showed any remote interest was that moment yesterday, and even then all he asked was what she thought of Naruto. She played that memory over in her head. She closed her eyes and mentally cursed herself for not spotting the henge. My forehead is so pretty you could kiss it, she stated numbly. Naruto, not realizing the sudden change in tone, rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, I've always thought that, it's one of your best features. Sakura slumped back into Naruto's arms, new tears forming. Stupid, 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 she cried softly, lightly hitting her head against the blonde boy's shoulder. Hiryu stood watching them, his smile warmly, thinking back to Kushina when she told her team how after Minato saved her and brought back to the village, how she spent a long time in Minato's arms crying over her own stupidity, as she called it. Take care of her, Naruto. I'll see you here tomorrow. Naruto nodded, looking so lost as he watched his sensei leave, not sure what to do. You're not stupid, Sakura-chan. You're the smartest, prettiest, most awesome kunoichi I know, believe it. He felt her tighten her grip on him for a few moments as her crying seemed to trail off, her breathing got shallower, she then seemed to go limp in his arms. He looked down and found she had fallen asleep. Not sure what to do, he scooped Sakura up bridal style, then stood up, running out of the training ground. A few minutes later, Naruto found himself in front of the Haruno clan compound, looking nervously at the people gathered. Mebuki Haruno walked up. She looked down at the sleeping girl in Naruto's arms, seeing her daughter's face covered in dried tear streaks. She had to admit the boy was indeed the offspring of the yellow flash and the red-hot habanero, to have gall and balls to show up with her daughter in his arms and looking like the girl had been crying. Better explain yourself, young man. Why is my daughter sleeping in your arms and looks like she's been crying? Naruto winced, took a deep breath and explained what had happened the best he could. Their first team meeting. Sakura leaving briefly to run an errand. The weight of knowing who his mother and godmother were. His fight with Sasuke and everything Sakura did when she got back. I'm sorry, but she wouldn't tell me what I did wrong. Heck, she didn't even hit me. All she did was cry and say she was sorry for everything she did. I don't even know what she meant. Mebuki smiled sadly. It's okay, Naruto-kun. Come inside and let's tuck her into bed. She's had a very emotional, draining day. Naruto sighed, glad he wasn't going to get hit for causing Sakura to cry. Maybe being there, but at least not making her cry. Why are girls so confusing? He mutters to himself. Mebuki giggled softly to herself as they walked up the stairs to Sakura's room. We are one of life's great mysteries, Naruto-kun. Would you care about Sakura-chan any less? No, believe it. She's the greatest. Naruto smiled, then tensed, feeling Sakura shift in his arms, snuggling closer to him. He also didn't notice the faint smile on the girl's lips. When the two reached Sakura's bed, he gently laid her down, watching as her mother took off the girl's sandals and headband before gently pulling the covers over the girl. Naruto left the room, closed his eyes, tensed, and waited for the inevitable hammer to fall as soon as the door closed. Mebuki closed the door, sighing and running her hands through her pink hair. Glancing at Naruto, however, caused her to frown sadly. She could see the boy seized up, waiting for a slap or a fist to the face. She gently touched his head. Seeing him flinch made her want to cry. Oh, Kushi, what have these people done to your poor boy? After a few seconds, he tentatively opened his eyes to look up at her. I would never hit you, Naruto. You wouldn't? Naruto asked. Makoto may have gotten the right to be called your godmother because she was your mother's best friend, but she wasn't the only one your mother befriended. Mebuki smiled softly. Naruto's eyes widened. Really, how many friends did mom have? Just 4, myself, Makoto, Sume Inuzuka, and your father, Mebuki stated as the two descended the stairway. I tried my luck at being a kunoichi, failed the genin test 3 times. I did that too. Really sucks, doesn't it? Naruto stated. Mebuki giggled, ruffling the boy's hair. Was never able to make a good henge. Always came out looking like they have been punched in the mouth. Naruto paused, picturing the image in his mind, and after a second looked down. Yeah, I had that same problem at first. Took a lot of hard work to get it right. Accidentally made my own jutsu trying to get it right. Ah yes, the Y-jutsu, I heard you use it to weed out perverts. Mebuki smiled, not realizing they have entered the kitchen. She stopped and shrugged. Have a seat, Naruto-kun, it's late and I'm sure you haven't eaten yet. You don't have to, Naruto stated before his stomach growled in response, causing the blonde boy to blush. Sit, it won't take long. Mebuki pulled out some cooking ingredients and started chopping away. Besides, gives me more time to stay at home. Civilian council duties are a real pain. Oh right. Sakura-chan loved to talk about you being on the council when she was in the academy. Her and Ino gossiped about it just as much as they fangirl about Sasuke Teme, the blonde boy chuckled. Mebuki frowned a bit before turning, pouring some oil into a wok. Fangirls, how I hate that term, she stated softly. I'm sorry, Naruto stated, looking down. Not your fault, Naruto. The term itself, however, is a sore spot for me. My older sister had become one to a degree that she gave up being a kunoichi and followed Fugaku Uchiha around even when he went on missions. Mebuki sighed sadly, stirring the wok. Fugaku and his team returned with her body wrapped up. His kunoichi teammate told me she had been isolated, raped, and had her throat slit. All Fugaku said was that she made a good distraction long enough for them to fulfill their mission. Both his teammates asked to be reassigned after that and he was put in charge of the police force. Naruto growled softly, "I don't like him already." He turned Sasuke into a teme. "He called my godmother weak just because she wanted to spend time with me, and now what you told me. He's a bigger teme than his son." Mebuki chuckled softly before pouring a large serving of beef ramen into a bowl. "Here, if you're anything like your mother, this should tide you over till tomorrow." Naruto's eyes brightened as he began wolfing down the ramen, but not before thanking the pink-haired woman. "I do hope she falls for you instead of the son of that asshole. It would make both Kushi and I very happy." Sakura ran down the stairs the next morning looking around before focusing on her mom. "Mom, how did I get home?" "Naruto brought you home last night, not sure what happened, but judging on what he told me you were pretty emotionally spent," Mebuki stated, sipping her morning tea. The rosette-haired girl blushed slightly as she sat down to breakfast, noting it was a bigger portion than she normally was used to. She looked up at her mother questionably. "Your sensei stopped by shortly after Naruto left and told me to give you a rich calorie diet, stating that kunoichi will burn through them during training." Sakura nodded, digging into her meal with more gusto than usual, her heart lighter than it had been since she was 7. "That boy loves you, you know," Mebuki stated casually, causing her daughter to nearly choke on some chopped ham. "Sorry dear. Naruto actually loves me," Sakura looking unconvinced. "I knew he had a crush on me in the academy, he wasn't exactly hiding that fact." Sometimes a crush can grow into something more because that person sees something in the person they have a crush on many don't see. Just like how we fall out of crushes, something that destroys our image of that person, like you must have seen yesterday, the older rosette-haired woman explains. Sakura remembered coming back from her errand to hear Sasuke say something about his own mother that was so cruel and cold it shocked her so much. Her entire opinion of the Uchiha had begun to be reevaluated. Same could be said of Naruto. "Mom, did you know Makoto Uchiha any?" "Very much so, she was one of my best friends aside from Kushina." "She was heartbroken over the fact that she couldn't raise her godson," Mebuki said sadly. "Wait, you knew Naruto's mom?" Sakura's eyes were wide. "Yes dear, Kushi and I were very close, just not as close as she and Makoto, but still." Mebuki sighed heavily with a casual shrug, sipping her tea again. Argued long and hard to be Naruto's godmother, but it came down to which clan could protect Naruto from his father's enemies if anything ever happened to Kushi and her husband. "You mean the fourth, don't you?" Sakura stated. "She married Minato Namikaze, didn't she?" Mebuki smiled a bit in pride. Not hard to figure it out, was it? Many others ignore the fact that Naruto is the spitting image of his father, Naruto himself included. The rosette-haired girl giggled, taking a bite of her toast, looking at the clock, seeing she had a good hour before meeting with her team. "I wonder what sensei is going to teach us today. Yesterday we found out our affinities." Sakura puffed out her chest in pride. "I have 2 wind and water, Sasuke has lightning, and Naruto has wind." Mebuki nods. "Well, we are descended from a prominent Kekkei Genkai family from the water country, though years of being civilians probably washed most of our bloodline into the gutter." Sakura sighed heavily, finishing her meal. "Sensei also put me in touch with his fiancée to teach me basic medical ninjutsu." "Really, that's a very good profession to fall back on, Sakura-chan. I'm very proud of you." Mebuki smiled brightly before catching the melancholy look on her daughter's face. "What's the matter, sweetie? All this time I've been fawning over a guy and he turns out to be wrong guy. I bought into the same thing that every other girl in school did." The rosette-haired girl buried her face in her hands, new tears forming. Mebuki gently gathered up her daughter into her arms and let the young girl sob. After a few moments she gently brought her daughter's eyes up to meet hers. "Sometimes, Angel, things are not always as cut and dry as we believe. Sasuke might be a pleasant, handsome face and his attitude comes off as cool, but in the end when you look underneath, you see who he truly is. He's a hateful, brooding, insensitive bastard." Sakura shouted, eyes flashing angrily. Mebuki's smile returned. "Very true. Now, who do you know that is the direct opposite and you found your ideal boy?" Taking a few minutes to calm herself, the rosette-haired girl went to the sink to wash off her face and empty her breakfast dishes, thinking. Someone who is kind, thoughtful, sensitive in most cases, and selfless. Sakura blushed slightly thinking about how Naruto carried her home after she cried herself to sleep on his shoulder. Naruto, she whispered softly, looking at her reflection in the window. She saw a very tired-looking young girl with a waterfall of hair she never truly wanted. She only grew it trying to get a stuck-up asshole to notice her. "Mom, can you help me cut my hair down to what it was like before I started school?" "Sure, but it'll have to wait until this evening, council meeting today," Mebuki stated, chugging down her tea. Sakura nodded and went up to get ready to meet her team. Looking into her closet, she saw battle dress after battle dress. She growled, looking at the assemble. She picked out one before glaring at the rest. The rosette-haired girl started pulling each one off the rack and shoving them into a large empty cardboard box she found. Once that was done, she got dressed, not realizing she had been crying during the whole ordeal. Anger, confusion, sadness, and a small amount of relief flooded through her during this moment. It was like she had died and been reborn, with each article of clothing being shoved into the box. After she finished, she washed her face again and headed for the training ground. Hiryu had arrived to see Sasuke standing by himself, brooding as usual. "Train me," Sasuke states. "No, we will wait for your teammates," Hiryu stated, simply leaning against a tree. "I'm the only one who matters, the others are weak, train me." Sasuke growled a second before he found himself on the ground, the point of Hiryu's sword at his throat. "You don't make demands of your sensei or your superior, Genin," Hiryu stated, his voice cold as ice. "I'm not your fangirls, nor am I someone within the civilian council that puckers up and kisses your ass. You demand anything from me again in the future, I'll cut your eyes out and shove them down your fucking throat. Do I make myself clear?" Sasuke's eyes were wide in fear, nodding once. Hiryu stood up and sheathing his sword. The Uchiha had never seen speed like that before. As the Uchiha slowly stood, both of his teammates entered the training ground. "Yo sensei," Naruto shouted cheerfully, which caused the brown-haired Jonin to smile easily, forgetting the incident that occurred. "Naruto, good morning," Hiryu chuckled before turning, seeing a more subdued, pink-haired girl walk in as well. "And good morning to you as well, Sakura." Sakura smiled weakly. "Good morning, sensei. Now that you're all here, allow me to give you our weekly schedule." Hiryu pulled out a scroll as the trio stood around him. Naruto looking cheerful, Sakura slowly following suit, and Sasuke still looking broody. "Monday till Thursday we will train from 9 to 1 in either chakra control exercises, team building, or tactics depending on the day." Naruto raised his hand, looking confused. "Yes, Naruto? Team building I can get, but what about those other two?" the whisker-marked blonde asked. "Chakra control will allow you to control and contain your chakra reserves so you don't waste it. You did a preliminary one in the academy where you had to keep a leaf stuck to your forehead for a fixed amount of time, correct?" Hiryu asked them both. Sasuke and Sakura nods, with Naruto looking down. "Off pulling a prank on that day," the plain-looking Jonin stated, rather than truly question the blonde. "Actually, sensei, Naruto was there, just not when the explanation was given," Sakura stated, then frowned. It was really strange. The teacher yelled at Naruto for goofing off even though none of us saw him do anything. The teacher then kicked him out long enough to explain how to do the exercise, then brought Naruto back in. Hiryu pinched his nose with a sigh. "Sensei and her husband are rolling in their graves because this village, I just know it." "Okay, Sakura, can you give Naruto brief explanation on chakra control?" He sat back watching as Naruto's total attention was on his favorite rosette-haired girl, listening to her explanation and asked questions afterward. "Understand the need for control now?" "Yes, sensei, so what about that tactics stuff?" Naruto asked. "Tactics is all about strategy, planning, and improvisation, things you need for each mission, be it assassination, escort, or guarding." Hiryu tapped his temple. "If you can't use this first, then your other skills are pretty much useless and you will die pretty quickly against a higher-ranked shinobi. However, if you can properly use your head in any given situation, you can outthink, outmaneuver, and outwit your opponent. Sometimes being stronger than your opponent isn't enough. What's the point of strength if your opponent is faster than you? Tactics allows you to be faster than your opponent, regardless of how powerful he is. A genin can take down a jonin if the genin has a better endgame, and jonin always underestimates a genin, giving them ample opportunity to apply their endgame. Sasuke scoffs mentally at this, only believing what his father had told him, that strength and power were the only means, anything else was less than nothing. What about Friday through Sunday? I have set up individual training for you, but those will be waiting until I deem you worthy of them, which will not occur until you master both the tree-walking chakra control exercise and the water-walking one, which Naruto and Sakura will master quickly, mainly because Sakura's chakra is naturally lower than yours or Naruto's, therefore it will be easy to control, and Naruto has the shadow clones. The blonde's eyes looked at him in confusion. What ya mean, sensei? Shadow clones Naruto are in the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing for two reasons. The first is it takes a lot of chakra to use, and the second is if not used responsibly could cause the user to have a brain aneurysm from getting too much information at once. However, according to the Hokage, you summoned nearly 500 clones the night you became a genin, so the chakra use isn't really an issue. However, use them sparingly, no more than 10 to 20 for the control exercises, Hiryu explains. At any rate, that's the reason I believe you'll master the chakra control exercises just as fast as Sakura. Sasuke has no such advantage, but if he works at it he could master both within 2 weeks. That's when you'll be training on the weekends with the specialists I have lined up. Sakura and Naruto, you'll be training with Asuma Sarutobi on your wind affinities on Friday. Sakura will spend Saturday and Sunday with my lovely fiancé in medical ninjutsu. Naruto will work on his taijutsu forms with Might Guy. Hiryu glances at Naruto. I must warn you though, Naruto, Guy is a bit eccentric, so ask him to keep you both in your current attire and the training schedule he and I worked out, Hiryu groaned. Better yet, I think I'll ask my future mother-in-law to watch that loony. He's already got one clone, I don't need you turning into another. Hiryu then turned to Sasuke. You'll be training with Kakashi Hitaki in both your lightning affinity as well as the Sharingan when you manage to unlock it. The plain-looking Jonin raised a hand, keeping the Uchiha from voicing his question. He obtained the Sharingan during the last war when his teammate saved him and gifted the eye to him after dying from his wounds. The plain-faced Jonin walked a few paces away, missing Sasuke's glare. Let's begin. Naruto, make 10 shadow clones and the 13 of you grab a kunai. With that, the Jonin led them to a series of trees, first demonstrating what he wanted them to do before sending them off to do it. 3 months have come and gone since Team 7's first meeting. When they weren't training together in tactics, team building, and chakra control, they were with their supplementary trainers. Naruto was now proficient in his parents' first 2 tiers of their taijutsu arts, with 3 more to go in his father's taijutsu and 4 more to go for his mother's. He was also added the wind style, great breakthrough, and the modified wind style, wind scythe jutsu, with Hiryu contemplating getting Kakashi or Jiraiya to teach him the Rasengan. With her fangirlism on Sasuke crushed, Sakura began training more. Her taijutsu had expanded to include Tsunade's brand of taijutsu, which incidentally also included more medical jutsu for her to learn. She also knew water style, water shotgun jutsu, and the dangerous water style, water dragon jutsu. Both had grown greatly under their teachers, and were pleased with the praise those teachers have given them. Sasuke, on the other hand, was slowly becoming more livid with each passing day when his teammates seemed to get stronger than he. The reality of it was he was just as strong as they were, he just simply didn't see it. His Sharingan had awakened during his training with Kakashi like Hiryu had told him, and he had been taught in its use only for his team sensei ordering him to not use it unless in a combat situation. How can I not use it? It's my bloodline. Simple, every Leaf Shinobi has worked hard to obtain the skills they have. For you to come along and use your Sharingan on their hard work is a disgrace to you, to your clan, and to this village. I have no qualms using your Kekkei Genkei against an enemy shinobi or during the Chunin exams, but while we are within these walls, those eyes better be turned off or I'll turn them off for you, Hiryu stated calmly. Sasuke hated the man with a passion, feeling he was trying to keep him stagnant and weak. The only thing that made it worse was that the man's fiancée is an Inuzuka. His father often told him the fact that the Inuzuka were nothing more than weak, pathetic trackers that needed a Hyuga or an Aburame to watch their back while they charged blindly into a battle with their stupid mutts. Why Itachi associated himself with the dog bitch I'll never know, and the fact this kiss ass is as strong as my brother is hard to believe. Sasuke had gone to the civilian council to get them to influence the plain-looking shinobi to train him exclusively. He never got it, at least not in the way he thought he would. Instead he got a 2-on-1 sparring match against Sakura and Naruto, with Naruto able to use his clones, which made it a 6-on-1. In the end he was beaten to a pulp. Next time you try to use the council to circumvent training my team again, I'll drum your ass out of the ninja corps, Genin, slap your precious little eyes with a sealing jutsu that not even Jiraiya of the Sannin can undo, and have your mind turned into a vegetable, the plain-looking Jonin stated coldly. The only thing you'll be good for after that is genetic material, so cross me again, Uchiha, and watch your life become shit. Since then the Uchiha had kept his mouth shut, worked hard at his training, but held the ever-growing resentment to his team. Hiryu looked at the C-ranked missions before him and mulled things over. He knew Naruto and Sakura were ready for these missions. But the Uchiha was a constant thorn in his side. He only did the teamwork because it was required and not because he cared for his teammates. He tried to go behind the Jonin's back with the civilian council, which didn't work, mainly because they had no say in shinobi matters. He's going to get himself kicked out at this rate, and I'll be damned if Naruto and Sakura suffer the possibility of not getting promoted because of his stuck-up ass. He figured they would try a C-ranked mission to see if Sasuke will fall in line. If he fails in this after the months of training, it would be the final straw. Let's see, bandit camp needs clearing out near the remains of the hidden whirlpool village. Not a good idea, don't want Naruto wandering off to check it out. May do that one solo though. Kushina-sensei once told us that her clan had special chakra-based family trees in the main vault. She said the family is always updating due to the special seals, so it might show clan members that are still alive. Hiryu paused, thinking about it. Fuck solo, I'll take Hana-chan with me. She could use an excuse for her and the triplets to cut loose. She's been getting really horny lately and I'm only one man. He chuckled to himself, thinking about his fiancée's voracious UAL appetite as he scanned the other C ranks, pocketing the banded one. Tazuna Bridge Builder been waiting 3 weeks for an escort home. Oh, that's not suspicious at all. 1 week he could understand, after all hidden villages are busy most of the time, both during war and in peacetime with missions, so more than once a person would have to wait until a unit was free. Bandits, while terrible, tend to leave architects and contractors alone, no money on them except traveling cash. Nope, this has got to be B or higher, a ranked missing nin. The fact he hasn't left yet to risk going home on his own indicates a ranked shinobi are possibly involved. He paused, looking at the destination, then flipped open a map, noting the name of a warehouse that a leaf hunter nin had highlighted. Gatu Shipping Conglomerate, I see him, very interesting. Hiryu took the scroll and walked up to the Hokage. Lord Hokage, I'll take these 2 C-ranked missions. The escort mission for my Genin squad. And the bandit mission? Sarutobi asked. Oh, I thought Hana-chan could use some fun. She's getting really restless dealing with sick dogs the last 3 months. I think my wife fiancé needs a treat. The plain-looking Jonin gave a feral smile. I would also like Kakashi Hitaki to come with us to escort my team back to the village while Hana-chan and I do the second mission. That's not standard procedure. Normally if a Jonin sensei needs to leave on an assignment, he just escort his team home then do the assignment. He's basically stating he needs another Jonin and a Chunin to accompany his team because the client is lying about the mission parameters. The old Hokage nodded subtly as Hiryu turned. I'll let the bridge builder know to meet your squad at the front gate. Naruto was ecstatic after the team's first mission to catch the unholy terror that was Tora, which the whisker-marked blonde hated with a passion at first. Yet Team 7's sensei loved the animal dearly. With anyone else, the cat lived up to the nightmare stories told about her, but the moment she touched Hiryu's arms, the cat became docile and purred up a storm. Naruto couldn't understand such a thing at first until he saw how his sensei held the cat. Tentatively, Naruto actually petted the animal and was rewarded a few minutes later when the cat jumped into his arms. He actually apologized to the cat and whispered to it thanks for the training exercise. Tora bumped her head into his chin as if telling him she enjoyed the chase and was glad she marred the Uchiha's face real good. Tora-chan is pretty cool. I feel bad for her though, having to deal with the Fire Lord's wife. I hope the fat old hag squeezes the life out of that monster, Sasuke snarled. You're just mad that she doesn't worship the ground you walk on, the blonde snickered. Animals are weak distractions, the Uchiha scoffed, turning away. Shaking his head, Naruto turned to look at the girl of his dreams, noting she was ignoring them, reading her medical textbooks, which she had taken to doing when their sensei was away getting them set up for training, usually involving either tactics or team building. "So which book you reading today, Sakura-chan?" he asked with a smile. "Different applications of poison. The sand uses them in their puppet core. The mist use a specialized algae they have in the lakes surrounding the village for interrogations. It's such a fascinating read, Naruto-kun." The Rosette stated she started using the suffix kun after their second month of training and they began dating. To say Naruto had been floored when she first started was an understatement. He blurted out asking for a date and surprisingly she accepted. He wanted it to be a special one, so he asked her what kind of place she liked to eat at. They went to her favorite sushi place and tried to have a nice time, minus the fact the waiters practically ignored them save the one Sakura knew, and he was none too nice to the rosette-haired girl. "If you start consorting with his sort, I must have seriously misjudged you, Ms. Haruno. I know for a fact that Naruto has not pulled a prank here. Why are you doing this?" Sakura shouted after seeing Naruto get a pained, empty expression on his face she hated seeing while she had been at the academy and hated more after finding out about his tenant. "I'm forbidden to discuss it. I've been told by the owner to keep him away at all costs. You may stay, Miss Haruno, but he must leave," the man stated firmly. Sakura's jade green eyes turned dark and stormy. 7 years have come here, greeted nicely. "Had the best sushi I ever tasted. Brought my best friend here, my mom. Bragging how awesome the food tastes, but the moment I bring my first date, the first boy who actually sees me for me, and you people have the balls to turn my Naruto away because of something that is not his fault." She gently takes Naruto's hand. "Come on Naruto, let's get some ramen. Suddenly I don't feel like ever having sushi again," she stated softly as the young couple left the restaurant. "I am sorry Sakura-chan," the whisker-marked blonde stated sadly. "Don't," Sakura said softly, gently touching his lips with a single finger. "You are not that fox, it's just sealed inside you, and if these idiots can't realize that, then I don't need restaurant-quality sushi anymore, at least until you become Hokage," she giggled at the last part. Naruto wasn't hesitant to call what he and Sakura had a relationship, even though Mebuki stated they've gone out more than once, therefore they were pretty much boyfriend and girlfriend. The older Haruno seemed to take delight in reminding of that fact and was proud of Naruto for revealing his tenant to Sakura. This seemed to make the relationship even stronger, as it seemed to light a fire in Sakura's eyes. Naruto sat down next to Sakura as she read, "Sensei has been at the tower for a while. What mission you think we'll get?" "Don't know, but he said it won't be, as he quotes, a stupid chore," Sakura stated, putting her book down long enough to do air quotes. "I know, maybe he's giving us a C-ranked mission to find Sasuke Tomi's funny bone," Naruto stated cheerfully, causing Sasuke to scowl. "Naruto-kun, that's not nice." The Rosette paused, watching Naruto frown. "We can't find something that doesn't exist," she stated casually. After a few seconds she watched Naruto laughing at the joke before she joined in. The Uchiha watched them both, seething in rage, before he felt a hand dropped onto his shoulder. Looking up he saw the unwelcomed of their sensei. Alongside him was his dog bitch fiancé and his other sensei. Enough with the jokes on Sasuke's inability to be funny. Sad to say he inherited that from his father as well, Hiryu stated, earning a small snicker from not only Naruto and Sakura, but Hana too. His mother on the other hand took part in more than a few of Kushina sensei's pranks. You'd be amazed at what someone using the Sharingan can do to enhance a genjutsu prank. "So what, Mom and Auntie Makoto were like prankster sisters or something?" Naruto asked. "Oh yeah," Hana barked out a laugh. "Really funny to see two grown women set off an exploding dye pack in the Anbu locker room." Naruto pouted. "I thought I was the only one who did that prank." Kakashi's visible eye twitched. "The bright neon orange dye 3 years ago?" Naruto nodded, his smile widening. "Yep, had to wait until Neko-chan went on patrol. Didn't want her to get dye all over her, believe it." Hana couldn't take it anymore. Seeing Kakashi's expression, she started rolling on the ground, howling in laughter. Kakashi sighed, shaking his head, a small smile no one could see under his mask. "I'll make sure Neko knows you spared her from that prank." Hiryu cleared his throat, noting the only one who didn't have a visible smile was Sasuke. More evidence the boys shouldn't be in this line of work. "Now to business. Team 7 will be doing an escort and bodyguard mission to the Land of Waves. Once we've finished our mandate in the Land of Waves, Kakashi here will bring you guys home as I have another mission right after that one. Just remember to mind Kakashi like you do me on the way home and everything will be golden." He glanced at Sasuke. "Well, Sakura and Naruto mind Kakashi like you do me. Sasuke, you better mind your P's and Q's if I get one word from Kakashi, Naruto, or Sakura that you got out of line on the way home, you won't live to regret it. Now go pack for the mission." "Is it a good idea to do this?" Hana asked, looking a bit worried as her eyes followed the slowly retreating form of the last Uchiha. "No, but my hands are tied until he does something truly wrong," Hiryu sighed heavily. "I should have done the bell test or done more to evaluate their mindset. Still, I am pleased with Naruto and Sakura's progress. It's almost like seeing Kushina-sensei and Minato-sama again with those two." "How is Naruto doing?" Kakashi asked. "Mastered the first 2 tiers of both his parents' taijutsu styles, knows great breakthrough and the wind side. Asuma gave him his own set of trench knives. If he does well on this mission, I'm recommending he learn the Rasengan," Hiryu stated, turning to his fiancé and the silver-haired older man. Kakashi's eye widened again before he slumped, pulling out a small wad of currency. "You won." "Why, thank you so much, Kakashi." The plain-looking young man smiled, earning a raised eyebrow from his fiancé. He bet 6 years ago I couldn't train Naruto to a point where he could surpass his father before the first Chunin exams the boy could take. Naruto is pretty much to that point now, and he hasn't even taken his first C-rank mission yet, so yeah, I won the bet. Hana cackled at the silver-haired Jonin's slumped, defeated shoulders. Hiryu's face turned cool. "If I'm right, then we'll have at least a squad of Chunin to deal with on this mission, if not 1 or 2 Jonin." "Don't worry, we'll be ready," Hana kissed him. Tazuna actually felt some much-needed relief, and not really knowing the protocol for shinobi missions didn't really understand what was happening. All he knew was that he got 3 genin, a chunin, and 2 jonin for the price of a C-ranked mission. He had been told before he left to get supplies for his bridge that C-ranked missions usually involved either a single unit of a jonin instructor and 3 genin or 2 chunin. For what Gato had on his tail right now, he doubted he would survive the encounter. However, thanks to whatever backlog on missions the Leaf had, he now felt he had enough protection to make his chances of survival go up. As the group walked, he noted the lazy-looking silver-haired Jonin at the back reading an orange book, with a blonde-haired genin talking to the pink-haired genin casually. Apparently they were an item to be dating at such a young age. What the bridge builder never thought was many shinobi married fairly young due to the lifestyle. It wasn't odd to celebrate weddings of 2 shinobi shortly after the couple grew into maturity at age 18. The builder then focused on the dark-haired genin, who seemed to have a permanent scowl on his face. Finally, the 2 leading point and apparently another couple, as the wild-looking female Chunin was discussing wedding preparation with equal wild abandon. Little did the builder know that Naruto had shadow clones surrounding the area in a 2-mile radius scouting, or the fact that Hana's dog Nin were doing the same in a 1-mile to half-a-mile radius. The clones would go to farthest point in their search pattern before falling back to where the triplets searched, then repeat the process. Same could be said for the Nin dogs, as they would go scout up to the walking group only to disappear again and search until they met up with the shadow clones and repeat. The buffer zone was huge, and while not completely perfect, it did the job, as a shadow clone found a puddle that should not be present in a place that hadn't seen rain in 2 weeks. The clone dispelled, giving the information not only to the original but to the rest of the clones. Naruto never halted in his conversation with his girlfriend, simply offered a subtle series of hand signs that only the shinobi in the group picked up, warning them of the genjutsu ahead. So when the 2 missing nin struck, they were completely unprepared for the backlash, as 3 genin and 6 shadow clones hammered into them. Sasuke and Naruto slammed a combined great breakthrough and a great fireball jutsu into the lead missing nin, who had to dodge only to be hammered from behind by the Inuzuka, knocking him to the ground and out of the picture. The second missing nin barely had time to react before Hiryu drove the reverse side of his sword into the nin's gut, knocking the wind out of him. Hiryu crouched, slamming the hilt of his sword in the missing nin's face before he could recover. Mezu and Gozu, the demon brothers, often seen working with Zabuza Momochi, demon of the bloody mist. Safe to say I was right about the parameters. Kakashi sighed heavily. "I hate it when you are right. To quote Shikaku, it's troublesome." Hana and Naruto were busy tying the 2 missing nin up. "Seems like overkill, don't you think?" Hana asked. 2 Jonin, a Chunin, and 3 Genin against an A-ranked Jonin and 2 Chunin. It's not, remember, 4-member squad. Zabuza probably has someone with him. He probably thought he was dealing with 2 Chunin or a Genin squad with a single Jonin. But that's neither here nor there, but it does confirm that the Hokage was lied to by a client. Tazuna looked nervous. Please, you must understand, my village is broke and starving. Which you could have explained to the Hokage and he would have offered a Jonin squad that could handle Zabuza and only charged you for a C-ranked mission at the time and billed you for an A-ranked one in the future once your village got back on its feet, Hiryu explained. Lying puts not only the lives of a Genin squad and a Jonin or 2 Chunin in danger but yours as well, not a smart move on your part at all. I'm sorry, it's just, I was scared, the old bridge builder stated. The plain-looking Jonin smirked. Don't worry about it, old man, you'll still be paying for an A-ranked mission for this down the road, but did you seriously think I brought all this back up with me for the bullshit reason I gave? If I needed to go on a mission after this one was over I'd simply escort my squad back then head to next mission. As it is, I'm essentially paying for Kakashi to be here. He glanced at Kakashi whose eyes smiled. Don't act so smug, Cyclops, remember the mission. The silver-haired Jonin nods. Yep. I should be halfway there by now. As if on cue the Kakashi standing there exploded into a column of smoke. He was a shadow clone? Naruto stated. The plain-looking Jonin nodded. The feral-looking smile appeared again. Yep, now let's get Tazuna home. If things pan out like they should, Zabuza should be greeting us once we get to the Land of Waves. As the group walked, only the 3 Genin noted that Hana had vanished into the trees once the group met the boatman at the shore. You know, Hiryu-sensei can be really scary at times, Naruto whispered to his Rosette teammate and girlfriend. Sakura giggled softly. I know, lucky he's on our side. Can't believe he figured out we would run into missing Nin on this mission. The moment I saw Gatu shipping on the map of Wave, I knew what was going on. I also know that Gatu has a huge bounty on his head, one he doesn't even know about, Hiryu stated, casually looking at the huge bridge as it came into view. Really, who put the bounty on him? Tazuna asked. Who knows, a rival shipping company, a village like yours that was buried underfoot, possibly a former slave that was once owned by the little tyrant. All I know that the bounty is a black market bounty, Hiryu replied. Sensei, what are black market bounties? Sakura asked. Black market bounties are paid by a secret group and funded by every village. They are used primarily as a way to clean up messes without being associated with a single village. Mostly S-ranked missing nin trying to earn a quick buck to keep hunter nins off their back by bribing their villages. It's why people like Orochimaru of the Sannin and Itachi are still on the run. That and those two didn't earn their reputation as S-ranked missing nin for nothing, the plain-looking Jonin explained. Maybe if you put aside your impatient Sasuke, you could become a hunter nin, be given the assignment of hunting Itachi down. Sasuke scowled but said nothing. He killed my clan, I could care less about the village. I want to be strong enough to kill my brother, not tomorrow or even the day after tomorrow. I want the power today if I could get it. The Uchiha turned his Sharingan on the Tomo mark, spinning wildly. Turn them off, Genin, we are not in combat. The only thing the Jonin received was a defiant stare. Really, this is how it's going to be. Fine, Sasuke Uchiha in willful disregard to my orders. Before the Uchiha could react, Hiryu slammed a paper seal between the Uchiha's eyes, knocking him off his seat and onto the boat floor. I've had it with his attitude and his disregard of my orders. The plain-looking Jonin opened a storage seal and picked up the Uchiha before setting him down on the seal. With 3 hand signs, the dark-haired Genin vanished. Hiryu wrapped up the seal and slipped it into his vest pocket. Sakura barely spared the whole thing, a glance looping her arm around Naruto's and laying her head on his shoulder. Gone was her fangirlism and her reasons to care about what happened to her once crush. Naruto simply shook his head, having always felt their sensei was fair-minded and even nice most of the time. So, sensei, new team member when we get back? Naruto asked. Yes, I heard some good things from Hana-chan and Kurenai about this one genjutsu user Kurenai trained. Girl needs some friends and maybe an exorcism, but she'd certainly be better than the Uchiha. So once I get back from my secondary mission, the 3 of us will visit her, if that's alright with you, Hiryu said, noting Tazuna looked nervous. Long as she doesn't move in on my boyfriend, I'll be happy. Sakura smiled, seeing Naruto blush. You're now 1 team member down, Tazuna stated nervously. And we have another team member and her very capable nindogs scouting. Don't worry Tazuna, you're safe, Hiryu assured the old man as the boat came to the docks. The foursome walked along the path before Naruto launched a kunai into a group of bushes. When the two genin pulled back the bushes to reveal a white rabbit. Drop! Hiryu shouted as a huge sword flew over their heads. All three jumped to their feet. Hiryu pulled the scabbard of his sword from his back and strapped it to his waist. Zabuza, been what, 6 years? Still trying to become Mizukage, or are you still drooling over Mei? Zabuza jumped off his sword, freeing it from the tree it was stuck in. Should have known that Mezu and Gozu would have trouble with you, Hiryu. The Batusei of the Hidden Leaf. Didn't answer the question. Zabuza, you still with Mei, or did you try to do things on your own? Hiryu asked firmly. I promised to help get more money for the resistance. Not easy when the only ones willing to hire me are gangsters, Zabuza stated with a growl. You know the civil war is a water country matter only, no one else can get involved, Hiryu softly replied. Zabuza nodded, showing for the briefest of moments that he wasn't a heartless monster that many were led to believe by his reputation. Then I guess this makes us enemies. You know you can't defeat me. The only one in the 7 swordsmen that could is Kisame. The plain-looking Jonin looked at his fellow swordsman, pleading for him to stand down. No choice, Zabuza stated firmly, charging at Hiryu, who adopted a ready stance, and not even before getting halfway Hiryu seemed to vanish from his spot and reappear behind the mist, missing Nin sheathing his sword just as his opponent screamed in agony. Zabuza dropped to the ground bonelessly as the joints in his elbows and knees were sliced open. Whoa, did you see that? Naruto exclaimed. Sakura nodded numbly as Hiryu walked over to the prone mist swordsman. Quadruple piercing fang. A second later, a masked figure slammed into the ground next to Zabuza, groaning softly. Hana and her 3 nin dogs following, landing surrounding the masked figure, each dog pinning the person to the ground, teeth dug into the flesh. Hana had a kunai at the person's throat. Here's team member number 4, the woman sniffed. The kunoichi of the group smells kind of like my apprentice, only not as strongly. The masked figure seemed to freeze at those words. Zabuza winced. Should have known wherever you or your wild child teammate wouldn't be far behind, the man chuckled weakly. I'm surprised Stoic isn't here either. I'm sure he's around, but Itachi is kind of on the run right now. People tend to not like the idea of him slaughtering his entire clan, Hiryu stated. Kakashi appeared a few minutes later. I see you didn't really need me for this. Kakashi of the Sharingan, this whole thing was doomed from the start. Zabuza stared up at the sky, wincing at the pain. Did you take care of the pint-sized tyrant? Hiryu asked the silver-haired Jonin, who I smiled. Any goodies? 150,000 ryo. Some slaves I freed by the way and gave them each a small share of the cash to get them home. The silver-haired Jonin dropped what was left of the money next to Zabuza. Sure about the bounty? The resistance needs it more than the Hidden Leaf. Should give them more than enough to finish the civil war a good 2 years ahead of schedule, I believe, Hiryu stated, earning a look of shock from the mist nin. Hey, black market bounties Zabuza, just because the Hidden Leaf won't openly support the resistance in the Hidden Mist civil war doesn't mean we can't help in some degree. Besides, if you think I want Maid chasing me down to spit lava at me again, you're high. Zabuza blinked a few times before laughing and wincing in pain. The 3 nin dogs releasing the masked figure, who weakly pulled her mask off. What did you mean I smelled similar to your apprentice? The masked girl asked. Hana pulled out her medical kit. While not good at human medical ninjutsu, she did know how to apply bandages and disinfect wounds. See the pink-haired girl? You and her might have been related at one time, as you smell similar, but since it's so faint I'd say the bloodlines you share might be diluted. Hana looked up. Sakura, help me out here. After tending to both the masked girl, who stated her name was Haku, and Zabuza, the group parted ways, but not before Haku asked Sakura about her family. Sakura explained to Haku that her family had been in the Hidden Leaf since the time of the Second Shinobi War, but before that had lived in the Water Country. 2 generations of Haruno had come and gone during that time. Haku then surprisingly hugged the rosette-haired girl, mumbling the word cousin before departing with Zabuza to turn in Gatu's head to the black market bounty office, then head to the resistance in the Water Country. Sakura spent a better part of the day, after the 2 mist nin left, feeling numb, while Naruto spent the same amount of time trying to snap her out of it, only to get a bop to the head followed by sharing his first kiss with Sakura. He didn't count the one with Sasuke as it was both gross and accidental. Horayu and Hana departed for their mission, leaving Kakashi in charge of the two genin. However, with the threat of Zabuza gone, the bodyguard mission on Tazuna was a breeze. The two spent most of the time sparring, guarding the bridge builder, or making out. Kakashi also gave them each one new jutsu to master. He gave Sakura the hidden mist jutsu, and Naruto he began showing the first step to the Rasengan, who in turn started showing Sakura the hidden whirlpool village, home to arguably the strongest clan of Fuinjutsu users in the elemental nations, the Uzumaki clan, both feared and respected. Sister village to the larger Hidden Leaf village, united through the marriage of the first Hokage Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki, birthplace of Kushina Uzumaki, the legendary red-hot habanero who is said to be the fourth Hokage's equal on the battlefield. Horayu, Himura and Hana Inuzuka stared down at the village's hulking ruin, weeping openly in place of their long-dead sensei and at the immense sadness having never known the people of this village. The Third Shinobi War started because of what happened here, Horayu said sadly as he and Hana walked through overgrown grass fields that were once walkways. Stone and wood structures caved inward from the remnants of shops and homes that once held hundreds of people, both members of the Uzumaki clan and from other smaller clans. Such a terrible waste of life, all done in the name of fear, Horayu whispered, gently pulling a piece of cloth free and holding it out to see the Uzumaki clan swirl. The very same swirl both he and Hana had on their flak jackets. Hana nodded, taking his hand and squeezing it. I'm glad we came here alone. I don't know how Naruto or Sakura would have reacted. Horayu returned the nod as the two walked slowly through the rubble of the once proud village, now a battered husk. The vault the two had come searching for was at the center of the village, in the central tower where the head of the Uzumaki clan had lived and ruled. The man had been Mito Uzumaki's nephew and Kushina's father. The tower, overall, was just as trashed as the rest of the village, having collapsed during the first assault from Stone and Cloud forces. Horayu suspected that someone within the Leaf had dropped intel to these forces. Only someone the Uzumaki clan would trust could betray them so badly. It was probably Danzo, but I got no proof. Using shadow clones, Horayu and Hana cleared the rubble away leading into the collapsed tower. Once inside, the two took great pains not to ruin the already destroyed hulk even more, hoping to leave the dead some peace and quiet, not wanting to disturb their eternal rest. None, except an Uzumaki, knew where the true village vault was, though judging by the amount of ransacking outside the tower, many have tried to find it with little success. Hana sighed. I wonder if Itachi came here after the massacre. I mean, Kushina-sensei told the three of us the location shortly after she found out she was pregnant. Horayu nodded. Was going to be our first mission without her after Naruto was born. Come here and loot the vault, bring everything all back to her, and she'd give us all free food for a week. He chuckled. If I recall, Itachi stated he just wanted a lifetime supply of Pocky. The wild-looking young woman giggled as they marched through a long hallway until they came to something that many could be considered out of place, unless you knew the eating habits of any Uzumaki, which many in the elemental nations did. Before Horayu and Hana was an entire wall lined with boxes of top ramen and cup ramen. Horayu simply shook his head, smiling sadly at the huge wall. They hide their entire vault in plain view behind boxes of ramen. Only the Uzumaki clan would do something so unpredictable and yet so simple. Horayu walked up to the first box and simply picked it up. The moment the box left the ground, a seal underneath the box activated and the rest of the boxes melted away like sand, dropping to the ground and vanishing. The Uzumaki clan vault turned out to be a massive underground structure with scrolls, books, and stone tablets all lining the walls, ranging from large to very small. The Jonin and the Chunin were awed by the sight. And to think all this belongs to Naruto. He could create over 1,000 clones to read these and still need at least 1 billion more clones to cover everything. How old are some of these? Hana asked, looking at some of the stone tablets. They must go back to the 6th sage, maybe even before him. Don't know. I wanted to come here to find that family tree scroll Kushina-sensei told us about, but this is overwhelming. The plain-looking Jonin walked over to a scroll and blinked in shock. How to create an elemental Kekkei Genkei, ice. I think you might be right, Hana-chan. I think this is where the 6th sage stored everything when he created the shinobi world. He entrusted those secrets to his clan. The two lovers walked quietly along, finding various scrolls on seals, ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, and Kekkei Genkei, along with the names of the various families entrusted with the knowledge, most of which the two knew had been wiped out during the Hidden Mist bloodline purges. Maybe if we give some of these to the Hidden Cloud as a token of goodwill we could obtain a peace agreement with them? Hana asked, looking at the lost Kekkei Genkei scrolls. Hiryu thought about it before shaking his head. It's not our place, Hana-chan. These are Naruto's scrolls by birthright. It should be his decision whether or not to give them out, he stated, coming to a large altar. Looking at it a minute he smiled. Ah, here we go, the Uzumaki clan family tree. Hana looked at it, seeing all the branches descending from the Sage of the Sixth Path, noting that the tree didn't just cover the Uzumaki clan, but also the Senju, Uchiha, and the Hyuga. So Naruto, Princess Tsunade, Sasuke, Itachi, Hinata, Hiashi, Hanabi, and Neji are all related in some way? Looking at the family tree a few seconds, the plain-looking Jonin shook his head. Yes and no. See here. Sasuke Uchiha. The first's wife Yushino gave birth to Izuna, Madara, and a third one I can't make out the name. Madara and Izuna's family line continues down the Uchiha line, ending with Itachi and Sasuke the little shit. While the third child I suspect might be a woman eventually married a Hyuga. Both names are so worn by time I can't read them, but somewhere along her line the Sharingan must have mutated, turning it into the Byakugan. Hana nods and then gives a light chuckle. What? You're such a history otaku, Hiryu-kun. Hana smiled, kissing his cheek. Only looking mildly offended before turning back to the tapestry. Anyway, the Senju clan starts with Yosho Senju and goes until Princess Tsunade and Nawaki. That's where the Uzumaki clan come in. Starting with Shinji Uzumaki as the first clan head and his wife, Hiryu traces down each ending path and his eyes widen. There's 4 lines still running. Kushina sensei had 2 older siblings and a young one. The Inuzuka rushed up, now interested, searching until she found what her fiancé found. True to his word, there were 4 lines that hadn't shown the infamous upside-down T, stating the family line was extinct. Who? The first is Kushina sensei's eldest brother Nagato Uzumaki, not much else, only that it shows he has the Rinnegan. He heard. Hana gasped, which was understandable, none had seen the legendary dojutsu since the 6th sage. Let's see. Second sensei's second oldest sibling Yukira Uzumaki deceased but gave birth to a daughter Karen. Husband died shortly before childbirth, means the poor girl is an orphan. Hiryu sighed heavily. Wish this thing gave exact locations, would be a snap to find them. And the last one? Hana asked. Even though she could read it herself, she just loved hearing her fiancé when he was in history-seeking mode. Inaba also deceased same day as her husband, not suspicious at all, Hiryu stated coolly. She also had a daughter, Tayuya Uzumaki. Says Karen has obtained the Uzumaki's sensor, longevity, and dense chakra gifts. Tayuya a musical genjutsu, Kekkei Genkei also longevity. Hiryu frowned when he saw something underneath Tayuya's name, 3 distinct tomo marks he recognized. Orochimaru has her, he stated, pointing to the marks for Hana to see. The Heaven Curse seal, he's marked her like he marked Anko, Hana growled softly. He killed her parents and took her. The plain-faced Jonin's hand clenched into a fist, staring at the tapestry before jumping up onto the ceiling above it and very gently unhooking it from the wall. Let's start putting this stuff into storage scrolls. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we get finished and back home. You think the Hokage will organize a search for those 3, and would they even want to meet Naruto? Hana asked. Tayuya may be a lost cause. As for the other 2, I don't know, we'll wait and see. In the meantime, let's get all this packed up and head home. I have an Uchiha to get put on trial for being an idiot, and I know Naruto will just go ape over half these scrolls. Hiryu chuckled at the last part. Hana shook her head, creating a few shadow clones, her fiancé doing the same as the group spread out, beginning to seal every scroll in storage scrolls. End City of the Ancients. After returning to the Hidden Leaf, Kakashi gave the storage scroll that contained Sasuke to the Hokage. When the old man asked why Sasuke was in said scroll, Kakashi simply shrugged, explaining the Uchiha had disobeyed orders on a mission. Team 7 had more than enough backup to take care of any threat. Sarutobi nodded, unsealing the Uchiha boy, noting the boy had a chakra-suppressing seal right between the boy's eyes. He signaled his Anbu to take the Uchiha back to his home and place him under house arrest until the boy's sensei returned from mission. He then turned to Naruto and Sakura, giving them a pleasant smile, asked them to make a report. What Sarutobi half expected was to see his surrogate grandson go crazy in explanation, only to be shocked when the whisker-marked blonde did his best to just cover the facts, with Sakura adding her 2 cents when the boy had trouble describing certain details. I see at the start of the mission you, Hana, and Sasuke took out one of the demon brothers while Hiryu took care of the other, Sarutobi clarified, getting nods from both genin. Very well, thank you. When Hana and Hiryu return I'll have them finish the report. And thank you Kakashi, for your work against Gato. You can go. Kakashi bowed before producing his porn and Shunshin out of the room. Naruto and Sakura left through the door, the whisker-marked blonde opening it for the rosette-haired girl. The old Hokage sat quietly for a few moments before sighing heavily. He's growing up. I know, strange to see him not bouncing off the walls like he did a month ago, a man with long white spiky hair stated, appearing on the window ledge, his face somber for a moment before a small, sad smile forming on his face. I watched those two walk through the village on the way here. I could swear I was seeing Minato and Kushina for a second. Hiruzen turned looking at his former student. Interesting, considering the girl up until 3 months ago was a devout Uchiha follower. Jiraiya winced. A fangirl. God, I hated those kinds of girls, followed poor Minato everywhere. Yes, wasn't too thrilled about them myself. Sarutobi rubbing his beard. As for Sakura's change of heart, there were several contributing factors. Hiryu Himura becoming her Jonin sensei for one, and Sasuke's own cruelty and single-minded ambition. As of right now the boy is at his compound waiting for his sensei to return from a C-ranked mission. One of Kushina's brats, huh? So I take it Naruto knows who his mother is by now? Jiraiya asked tentatively. The old Hokage nodded, giving another sigh. Yes, thankfully Hiryu hasn't told Naruto about his father yet, but I only think he hasn't because the man went looking for something at the hidden Whirlpool Village remains. What could he possibly find in all that rubble? Jiraiya asked. The Uzumaki clan vault, Hiruzen stated, pulling out a faded-looking mission scroll, handing it to his former student. Minato had this made up 2 weeks before Kushina gave birth to Naruto. Jiraiya read the mission report and to whom it was to be given to Team Kushina. Go to the remains of the hidden Whirlpool Village. Find the hidden Uzumaki clan vault. Retrieve all documents inside. Return them to your sensei for mission completion. S-ranked mission, bonus fee for discretion. Sensei, I don't think we were supposed to know about this. I know, the information held in that vault is both a great treasure and a great danger. I also believe that Hiryu and Hana are retrieving the contents as we speak to give to Naruto, Sarutobi stated softly. Jiraiya slumped against the windowsill looking dumbfounded. Sensei, you remember what Mito said about that vault on how massive it is? The things in that vault are what caused the Third War and practically wiped out the Uzumaki clan. The old man leaned forward, feeling even older. Kushina wanted those things to protect her family. You know that more than anyone, she was always fiercely protective of those that she found precious. It was probably one of her most endearing and wonderful qualities. This world has become a far darker place for me since she and Minato gave their lives for this village and their son. He looked at the Toad Sannin for a moment. Did Minato leave anything with you in case of his death? That silly toad wallet of his had it since he was boy. He asked me to give it to Naruto. I gave it to him anonymously on his 6th birthday. Why? Did you find anything that might indicate a seal? Sarutobi asked. Nope, but I honestly didn't check it for one. Who'd check a kid's wallet for a seal? Jiraiya stated before slapping himself on the forehead. Minato and the firecracker must have left something for him on that thing. We'll worry about after Hiryu and Hana get back. Something tells me the month leading up to the Chunin exams is going to be very interesting, Sarutobi stated. It had been 3 days since returning from the Land of Waves. Now Naruto was waiting for his sensei to return and getting a bit restless to say the least. He spent the majority of the time with his Sakura-chan either doing their chakra control exercises like their sensei had explained needed to be done constantly until they started taking missions where the constant need to keep control wouldn't be a factor. When they finished that, they did some light contact sparring at least until one or both ended up in a hold, had their faces practically touching, then said sparring drifted into a heavy kissing session. These sessions often led the whisker-marked blonde feeling both extremely happy and extreme confused. His confusion often stemmed by how his body reacted to the kissing and Sakura's wandering hands. He was more than a little unsure if the body reactions were natural or not. He was sure the academy taught the students about them, but more than likely he got shafted on the lesson because of his tenant. So since his Sakura-chan wanted to spend the day with her mom, Naruto felt it was the perfect opportunity to find out why he felt the way he did when the rosette-haired girl let her hands wander and why her reactions when he did the same were so intense. At first Naruto thought about asking Iruka, but it was mid-morning and he was likely teaching classes. Next he thought about the old man Hokage, but when he was younger he recalled this was the time the old man did meetings until lunch, then had paperwork the rest of the day. Since a lot squads had come to give mission reports yesterday, the old man would be extremely busy catching up on that paperwork. Granted, before joining Squad 7 Naruto would have interrupted him anyway regardless of paperwork, but Hiryu instilled in the whisker-marked blonde the responsibilities of Hokage since the boy wanted the job himself when he got older. Flashback. Hiryu smiled slightly as Sasuke left without a word as usual, while Sakura stayed behind to give Naruto a peck on the cheek before leaving herself after the trio spent the majority of the day on team building and tactics. Now Naruto, what do you think the job of Hokage means? The Hokage is the strongest ninja in the village, Naruto smiled. With a chuckle Hiryu nodded. Very true, however that is not everything the Hokage is, and sometimes the Kage can abuse his or her power. An example would be what is happening in the Hidden Mist right now. A civil war because the Mizukage has wishes to kill anyone who has a bloodline like Sasuke or your classmate Hinata, Hiryu explained. Why would the Mizukage do that? Naruto asked. Fear would be my guess, but that isn't what I'm trying to tell you. See, the Kage aren't just about being the strongest in the village. The Hokage is also the leader of this village. They order shinobi to do jobs, make decisions on team placements like ours, use information and get advice, attend long boring meetings on village happenings and doings, approve and deny missions. The list goes on and on, the plain-faced Jonin stated. Wow, being Hokage must be hard, Naruto softly replied. Very, but also extremely rewarding at the same time. Minato Namikaze, our fourth Hokage, didn't just become a hero because he sealed the fox within you Naruto or end the last shinobi war almost single-handedly. He also implemented several programs, one that you have benefited from, like the Orphan Student Allowance Program. This program allowed children who entered the academy a monthly stipend to buy food, clothing, and a place to live if they didn't want to live in the orphanage, which many didn't, Hiryu explained, his face pained slightly. Were you an orphan, sensei? The whisker-marked blonde asked. Yep, but I was lucky and not so lucky to know my parents, Hiryu chuckled sadly. Naruto blinked in confusion. My mother died shortly before the war ended and my father died during the war itself. But again, I'm getting off track, the plain-faced man sighed. Hokage is both a political figure and a military figure, and must constantly keep those in balance. Our Hokage loves each and every person in this village, both civilian and shinobi alike, but he will also order the death of that person he loves, especially in times of war or during times of political strife. Naruto frowned sadly, thinking, you mean if I became Hokage and there was a war on, I'd have to send Kiba, Shikamaru, or Hinata off to die? Yes, same can be said about sending me, Hana, or Hiryu paused, eyes looking pained, Sakura. War is not pleasant, Naruto, and is a great trap. As Hokage, to watch so many you love and cherish die to protect your home and the people in it is doubly so, but that shows the true strength of a leader. The plain-looking Jonin watched the myriad of emotion play across his student's face before he saw something that made him smile, the same look he saw in his sensei many times. One day I'll become Hokage. I won't give up or back down from anything until that day comes. That is my nindo, believe it. Good, now let's talk about your habit of interrupting the old man while he's working, Hiryu chuckled hearing Naruto whine. End flashback. Naruto didn't like the concept of sending Sakura-chan off to war if that ever happened, but he understood that could be a possibility. He shook his head, clearing of thoughts about being Hokage. It was one of his dreams, true, but that wasn't his focus at the moment. His focus was trying to find someone who could explain why he felt funny when he and Sakura kissed, among other things. Since his current sensei was out on a mission, his former one was working, and the only other male role model he had was also working, he decided to get a female opinion. Hana was out with his sensei. Mebuki was out mainly because he didn't want to get killed by Sakura's mother. The only one he knew well enough, after all he spent his fair share of time with Hiryu and Hana when not training to meet Sume Inuzuka, Hana and Kiba's mother. The woman could be surprisingly blunt when she wanted to be, always referring things in a more animalistic term, something the blonde boy found funny as hell. If there was one person that could help him understand what he was feeling, it would be her. Plus the fact that she had been a friend of his mother didn't hurt either, made hanging out with Kiba a little bearable, especially after Sume knocked her son upside the head for making fun of him. The woman had stated that Naruto was part of the pack because his mother had been, and for Kiba to follow Naruto's example of being an alpha male. Shrugging off his confusion with the Inuzuka matriarch, he quietly headed to their compound, hoping not to meet up with Kiba. Yeah, like I need to hear dog breath laugh at me because I don't know what's going on when Sakura-chan and I kiss. He sighed, walking up to the front of the compound and knocking. A few minutes later the door opened and Kurenai stood before him. Hi Kurenai-sensei. What are you doing here? Kurenai smiled softly. Kiba hurt himself during training, got one too many of Shino's Kikai insects on him. He's suffering from chakra exhaustion. Wouldn't Shino call off the bugs before that happened? The whisker-marked blonde asked. This is Kiba we're talking about, Kurenai stated, causing Naruto to chuckle. Head like granite and just as many rocks inside. Another female voice stated. Naruto looked to see by far the wildest looking woman he ever laid eyes on in his life. Long brown spiky hair. Slit-like eyes, and just like Kiba and Hana had red tattoo marks on her face. Behind her was the biggest nin dog he had ever seen. So what can I do for ya, pup? The whisker-marked blonde blushed slightly. Not sure if this perverted or anything, but sensei stated that if I don't understand something I should ask questions. Kurenai raised a single eyebrow before glancing at the Inuzuka matriarch. What are you going to ask Naruto? Naruto started rubbing the back of his head nervously while blushing up a storm, feeling really uncomfortable about revealing his relationship with Sakura suddenly. He also felt that if anyone could help him with what was going on, these two might, and not sugarcoat it. Well, Sakura-chan and I kind of been dating for a while. He missed the look of sadness in Kurenai's eyes since he was busy trying not to stumble over his words and come off not sounding like a pervert. Looks like it's too late, Hinata. This could be devastating to her. Really? Well, pup, I'm glad to see the pink-haired girl finally made the right choice selecting her alpha male. So what's the problem? Sume stated, pleased at seeing her friend's son finally getting his bitch that he'd been sniffing at for nearly 7 years. Well, when we're close and KK kissing. Her hands start GG going all over and it makes me feel kind of weird, not the bad kind but. Naruto cursed his stuttering, but he felt so mortified revealing his kissing sessions with Sakura, to other people mostly because he didn't understand why he reacted the way he did. Sume growled softly, damn, academy instructors have a good mind to fang over fang the entire school. So it's normal? Naruto asked, almost sounding relieved. Yep, Sume smirked. Means you want to mate with your bitch? Most natural thing in the world for an alpha male. Naruto's eyes widened. What? Kurenai shook her head and rolling her eyes. What Sume stated, while blunt, is essentially true. You find Sakura highly attractive and your kissing sessions most likely are very heavy. Tell me, do your hands wander? Naruto nods, blushing more. Yeah, and the more we go on, warmer I get and stranger I feel. My head starts getting foggy. The Inuzuka matriarch snickers for a second before her face turns serious. Anything beyond that? Naruto shakes his head. No, Sakura-chan always stops and that's why I get confused, I get all tingly. It's natural and thankfully Sakura is being very mature about it, making sure to halt things before they get way too serious, Kurenai replied. Sume, looks like we'll have to explain the kunai and the holster to him. Damn academy idiots, the Inuzuka matriarch grumbled before sighing. She figured the academy instructor on UAL education conveniently left Naruto high and dry, mostly likely because of the boy's tenant. Okay, listen up, pup, this will likely be the single most embarrassing moment of your life. Prank backfires not included. A sense of dread washed over the whisker-marked blonde looking at the two women as they both led him into the living room. After nearly 3 hours of explanations on the world of to the 13-year-old, the boy wanted to crawl away and die of embarrassment at the descriptions, diagrams, and everything else that revolved around the subject matter. But aside from that, he now knew why he felt the way he did during his makeout sessions with his Sakura-chan, and knew never cross a certain line unless the rosette-haired girl wanted to cross it first. The horrifying descriptions of rape that the older women had given him added something new to his hate list for future references. The embarrassing discussion also helped make his feelings for Sakura stronger and his appreciation for women in general greater. Thank you Kurenai-sensei and Sume Obasan, Naruto stated softly. You were right, that was the most embarrassing thing I've experienced. Hey, should have seen Kiba when I gave him the talk, didn't speak to me for 2 whole weeks. It was like a vacation, the Inuzuka matriarch chuckled, ruffling the blonde's hair. Considering if your mom had been here she'd probably been the one to give ya the talk. Your dad was such a pansy about those things, and that's with having the sensei that he did. Kurenai frowned, it's not nice to speak about him like that Sume. Yeah, I suppose you're right, got to admit fainting when he found out he was going to be a father was pretty funny. Sume snickered. Kurenai did smile a bit. After a few moments Naruto and the 2 older women talked mostly about how he and his team were doing. He went through what Hiryu was teaching them and what they were learning with a few others. Sensei said Sasuke Teme going to be getting the boot. When he gets back, guess that means we'll be getting someone new as our teammate, hope so. Sume sighed, bound to happen, so any idea on who you might get as a new teammate? The whisker-marked blonde gave her a deadpan stare. I forgot about it, and anyways Sensei always springs stuff on his last minute, usually when it involves tactics. I'm well-rounded with taijutsu and ninjutsu now that my taijutsu has been pretty much fixed. Sakura-chan is good with medical ninjutsu and has been studying the scroll Sensei gave her on taijutsu enough to make her way strong. He smiled and Sume could swear if he had a tail it'd be wagging like crazy. So knowing Sensei it'd be someone good in genjutsu and taijutsu to fill the gap of not having the Sharingan on the team. Which means more team building and taijutsu practice to bring our teammate up to speed. Kurenai frowned. None of the washout academy students were very strong in genjutsu. She knew because it was something she originally aimed for before settling on a tracking team, like the one her father had with Sume, Hiyashi, and Shibi. I don't recall seeing anyone in the academy strong in genjutsu. Meh, don't care really long it isn't Sasuke Teme, I'll be happy. Naruto smiled, jumping to his feet, lingering traces of embarrassment gone. Thank you for everything, I'm going to Ichiraku's. He started to walk away. Freeze. Sume barked. You'll be eating with me and Kiba tonight, no arguments, do I make myself clear? Why yes, Sume Obasan. The boy stuttered. The woman was right, scary at times but showed her gentle side too, this was the mix. Good, the Inuzuka matriarch smirked. It's going to take a joint effort Kushi-chan, but Mebuki and I will help your pup be the strong alpha male he's meant to be, with a little encouragement from his bitch.